Disaster SquadCast. I am Paul. You can call me Disaster Squad. I am a indie game dev. I created the Cursed series. I used to be a filmmaker back in the 2000s early. I was in a band. I'm an artist. And I have a Twitch channel where I play NES games. And I love to talk to other indie devs, artists, people in the general biz that I like. And with me today is Julia Minamata. Hello.
Hello.
And why don't you tell everybody what exactly you are known for?
Absolutely. Yeah. I am Julia Minamata. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
I am a indie game dev. So I've been working on a project called the Crimson Diamond, which is kind of a graphical adventure type of game, graphical mystery adventure game, kind of like the old Sierra games from like the late 1980s and early 1990s. So that's my main thing. But I also do a bunch of other stuff. I stream on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, I stream on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, on Crimson Tuesdays. So I kind of do like game art stuff on my own. I'll do game art for the Crimson Diamond, and then I've been doing some Let's Plays actually after at the end of that at the end of those. And sometimes I have my musician on. Dan Polakar is the musician on the project, and so we'll sometimes develop game music as well, and we'll kind of take feedback from people. He'll compose something live, pretty much from beginning to end, like
Yeah, I
completely
see in
from
a couple of
scratch.
those
Yeah,
videos where they were like live
yeah.
composing.
Yeah, so that's a lot of fun too. But Dan's really super busy, especially now in the summer, like doing touring and stuff. He's been touring with Sean Paul for the past 9 years in the Bada bands. That's the Sean Paul's like the group that plays with him. Oh,
Hmm.
did it go? Did we disconnect or no? We're
No,
good?
I just
Oh,
turned off the stream to the
okay.
Discord so it didn't like double
Okay.
my
Whew.
bandwidth.
Oh
I
my
forgot I
goodness.
left
Okay.
that on. Go ahead.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, and Dan actually was on Jimmy Kimmel last night playing,
Really?
yeah, backing band of Sean Paul, and Gwen Stefani was on there, so I've DVR'd that. So he's a busy guy, but
Hmm.
when we can have him on, we have him on. So there's that. I'm also an artist working with Strange Scaffold, which is Oliver Nelson Jr.'s amazing game development company. We worked on, well, together. I did the art for, and he's the creative director for these games such as Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, which launched last December. Witch Strandings, which just launched. I think it launched last week.
Is that the one you were
And
just working on?
Yes, that's the one I was just working
That's
on.
right.
And then I also worked with him on something with Sweet Baby Incorporated out of Montreal, a Playdate game called Recommendation Dog. And I'm not sure when that's coming out, but at some point it will come out.
I
I
plan
guess
on getting a play date. I haven't gotten one yet. So.
I was on like the second round of shipments for that, so I'm just waiting for mine now.
I'm
And
on the
I have,
third shipment of Analog
ooh,
Pockets. It's going to be till next year.
oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I can't wait. I actually have a dev unit one because they wanted they sent them to us when we were developing the game.
What's the game called? Or
Uh,
is that?
yeah, it's called Recommendation Dog. So I do have one, but I don't have a consumer unit. So I'm waiting for my consumer unit
Yeah,
and then
yeah. I just want to know
the
what
little
game I
mid-budget
should look up to
characters.
see what that looks like. I haven't seen
Oh,
that
sure.
one.
I don't think there's much on it like online right now. I have like this animated GIF of the title card for the game, but I can't
Gotcha.
really show anything else, unfortunately.
Well, we'll see it someday, right?
Yeah, someday it will come out someday.
But yeah, so let's go like way back. What obviously you're into adventure games,
Yes.
and what is that? Some of the earliest things that you've ever played, or does it go further back than those? Like what's
We
some of your
had
earliest things that like gaming
hmm
memories that got you into the hobby?
we had a Commodore, we had a VIC-20.
Canadian.
So that's
That was big in
yes.
Canada.
Oh yes, very much so. Yeah, so we had one of those, and so my earliest gaming memories, well, besides like board games and stuff like that,
Well, yeah.
um, would be yeah, like the VIC-20 we had. We always had a console household. We kind of had like like the progression of like 086, 286, 386, 486
Oh, really?
computers.
Lucky.
Yeah, and actually the first computer I had in the home was this thing my dad would bring home. It was this compact, not it's the irony of it being called compact, but it was one of the earliest compact like portable computers, which was like a 30-pound
Yeah, the
suitcase.
front folded down and had a little
Yes.
screen in there.
Yeah, so we had like a pinball game, and then we also had like a King's Quest One on that. And so that's the first time I probably saw what most closely resembles like adventure games that I would really come to love the
So
most.
like a Sierra
Um,
game was like one of your first ones, right?
yeah, besides the VIC-20, yeah,
Yeah.
I would say King's Quest One made the biggest impact super early on.
We had
Yeah.
like when I was like 5 years old, we got a Commodore 64, so that was pretty cool. I never knew the VIC 20 existed until I became like a collector early or later in life.
It was great. I have a lot of good memories of it. I never really did any programming on it. We got one of those programming books that you could kind of transcribe directly the programs, and it
Yeah,
never worked for me.
I have a
Um,
VIC-20. I don't play it too often, but I have plugged it in here
oh
and there.
wow. Oh wow. Yeah, so we had the tape deck with that. We had, a few games here and there. But yeah, the one that because we had to set it up every time we wanted to play it. Like it never really stayed
It never
connected.
stayed. Yeah.
No. So the one that I have the fondest memories of and the one I kind of got most attached to is like the early PCs and then when we got one that we eventually kept in the home, yeah, like we do word processing on it and having really early like Windows and things like that. We were always one of the first kids in school to have like word processed and dot matrix printed out
Well,
like
weren't you
homework,
fancy?
yeah, like essays and stuff. We'd have that
Did it
all
have
the
the
time.
Yeah, the dot matrix paper? If that's a VIC-20, it was it just goes
Um,
back and forth slowly.
Well, yeah, pretty much exactly that same thing where you have like the dots on the perforations on either
Yep.
side, and you'd
You have
get the
to rip
most
them
wicked
off,
paper cuts. Oh yes, yes,
and half the time it would rip some of the page. Like, dang it! You have to like get redo it.
yeah. Those are good times. But it was also fun because yeah, like the pages were all attached together, and you could kind of make banners with that, which
Yeah,
is what you'd use print shop for. You can make these awesome banners that would kind of stick together really nicely.
but yeah. Like, I don't even
But
know what
yeah,
games I associate with the VIC-20.
well,
Like, what
well,
was like some that you played?
yeah. So there was something called Congo Bongo, which I think was
It's an
pretty
arcade game. Yeah, it's on Atari and
popular.
stuff like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
We had some kind of a Rocket Commander or something maybe. Some kids games as well. As far as those go, like there was some. I was pretty young when we had ours, so we had like kids games that were kind of educational. I guess I don't remember what they were
Kind
called.
of educational.
Yeah, there were these educational ones that were like for the tape deck, which had Shakespeare on them, and they
Huh.
was like English and geography and stuff like that, I think. But yeah, I don't. None of those ones really stuck with me or spoke with me, and computer games didn't really make that much of an impact on me until our first PCs.
Oh yeah, like well, obviously that era of the like the 46 386 and stuff like that. That's what inspired most of your work, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was kind of when
EGA.
EGA, exactly, that 16 color palette of EGA. That's
Yep.
when I feel like that was the biggest appeal for me. So yeah, I mean, we had the green monochrome monitors and stuff like that. CGA as well, I quite liked, but EGA was the one where it really felt like the graphics came to life for me, and the complexity of the games were such that yeah, you could have an adventure game with a nice story, and you could follow along and explore, and that's really the type of game I more favorite, and that's probably why I don't really have a lot of strong memories associated with the VIC-20 because they
It
didn't
didn't
really
have that kind
have
of stuff,
adventure
yeah.
games. Not graphical. They had some text adventure games, but not that marriage of the graphics and the text is what was super magical for me. And the arcade stuff, I was never really that much into arcade games just because I just don't really have that dexterity or the hand-eye coordination.
Like some of my earliest adventure games that I can oh, by the way, like the reason I remember seeing you for the first time or even like ran into you randomly was that just a screenshot and I literally thought it was an old Sierra game and then I looked into it. I
Yay.
was like, "Oh no, that's a indie dev. That's cool." So then
Yeah,
that was a
that was
while ago, and then after I started this, I was like, "Oh, I could probably I'll ask her if she wants to talk." Sure.
Of course, yeah, and I'm really glad that you say that because yeah, when I started I started as a freelance illustrator and I did that for like 10 years. But when I started to dip my toe into pixel art, my first thought was, okay, well, I want to see about those old screenshots of those games that I loved so much, and can I look at that style and kind of break it down and see what kind of
What
effect I can
techniques they
have?
use?
Yeah, can I make stuff that kind of looks like that? And I actually found it wasn't too hard for me to kind of get that look a little bit. I've gotten better over time at it, but yeah, that was definitely the aim is that to recreate that the fuzzy memory and that warm
Mm-hmm.
golden time I had as a child.
That EGA flesh tone is like such a iconic thing. It's like the orangish pink.
I love it. It's one
Yeah.
of my favorite colors.
Like
And
every
yeah,
character has one of two flesh tones. It's like either like the brown or the orangish pink. That's all they had.
you get to, I mean there are some EGA games like the King's Quest 2, he was lemon yellow and
Yeah.
there's an
Oh yeah, that's
enclosure.
right. I forgot about that. King's
Manhunter
Quest.
as well has yellow.
I was not introduced to King's Quest until 5, so that was much later.
Wow.
But
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, that bright red color of the flesh. I use that all the time for my profile pictures,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's in every. It's like it's even in this right now. Like they
Yep.
have me sitting on the couch with the waveform, and it's just it
You
really
like your
greatly
chair? Is
appeals
it
to me.
cozy enough?
Yeah, it's just
Good.
wonderful.
But like, when I picture EGA, I picture like God, Leisure Suit Larry. I played
Mm-hmm.
that when I was very young and shouldn't
Too
have, but
young.
like my
Yes.
friend, we unlocked it from my friend's parents or something.
Yes.
And like for me, it goes to was it Maniac Mansion and Zach McCracken? Have you played either of those?
I've played, yeah, Maniac Mansion, definitely. I've played quite a bit of that. I think I even only really played it when it came packed in with the Day of the Tentacle. I think that's really the first
Gotcha.
time I really played
Yeah, we
it.
still have the disc. Like I have my Commodore disc downstairs. Me and my mom used to be into that a little bit. We used to go through those games and like Shadowgate stuff like that for the
Right.
NES.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning, I think you mentioned Shadowgate on my stream, and I mentioned From Beyond Prologue, which has that similar UI as
Yes.
Shadowgate does. And it's a new game by an indie developer, and I played through that to the end, and it's really good.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that was my
love it from that.
inspirations. Were like those
Hmm.
type of things.
Hmm.
Shadowgate, Maniac Mansion. Steve Purcell was the artist for Maniac Mansion and
Right.
Zach McCracken, and then I found like, oh, he did Sam and Max. I was like, I love that guy. So
Yeah,
like,
he's great.
yeah.
I
What
I
about LucasArts? Do you have any history with them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of
Oh
my
yeah, duh. You were
favorite
just playing indie, weren't you?
Yeah, I was just playing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the EGA version, of
Of
course,
course.
which took some doing because the only one that's available on GOG and Steam is the VGA version,
Uh,
which
how
is
do
a big
you
shame.
get that working?
Well, I bought the one on GOG, so I do have that in my GOG library. So I legitimately have a copy, and then I just sought it elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because yeah, LucasArts seems to have trouble with wanting to release like the EGA original versions of stuff. So you got Loom, which is gorgeous in EGA. They only really have easily available the VGA version. Ditto for Last Crusade. I'm not sure about Secret of Monkey Island, and so Secret of Monkey Island was my first LucasArts adventure game, and it's still like in my top five, if not like my favorite adventure game
Mm-hmm.
ever. Particularly, yeah, the EG graphics are gorgeous. I don't know if Steve Purcell worked on that one.
That I don't
Um,
know.
I I know he worked on Last Crusade because I just finished that one the other night, and I saw his name in the credits. But I love Secret of Monkey Island for the graphics, for the gameplay, the story, the puzzle design. I actually liked LucasArts games more than the Sierra games back in the day, which is kind of funny because now I more aesthetically respond to the EGA style of the Sierra games.
Yeah, but the gameplay of the Lucas ones were much better generally.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
They
I
were
agree
like
with
the
that.
Sierra was clunky but had a charm that nothing else had.
Hmm.
And like the text parsing, which you are doing, right? In the
Yes.
Crimson Diamond.
Yeah, so that's another thing, and that's probably another reason why I gravitate more toward the Sierra games for that reason, because I don't know if LucasArts ever really did the text parser. I can't think of one
I
off the
don't
top of
like
my
their
head.
first engine was Scum.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
for Maniac Mansion. So I
Right.
think, I mean, it might go back further than that. That's the earliest one I can think of.
Right. Yeah, I think, yeah, I can't think of one either. So I feel like, yeah, Sierra, I really responded well to that text parse. And that's why for my game, The Crimson Diamond, which is the first game I've ever really made, I was like, okay, I want to do that text parser because I love it so much.
Yeah,
It's
I didn't
just my
think I
favorite
saw
thing
any other
ever.
previous works of just you. Is this your actual first like solo project?
Yes, this is my absolute first solo project.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I know
good.
it, and the thing is and you know this, just you're a game developer as well. The first rule that everyone tells everyone, and it's usually too late by the time they hear it, is oh, start small, right? Do little projects here and there, and like learn the ropes of how to like do something from beginning to end, and don't do like a big huge thing your first time out. Well, I
Oh
heard
yeah,
that way too late, and it's it's
of
it's
course.
it's okay.
Yeah, I started about 13 years ago or something
Hmm.
making stuff, and I just this year started putting them on Steam. I was like, why not? And then, oh,
Yeah.
that was a good idea apparently. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's great. Like Steam, obviously, yeah, all this stuff that we have now, digital distribution, I could not do what I'm doing now, like back in the day. Like I love those old games, but yeah, I don't have like warehouses to put big boxes, and I
oh
can't
yeah,
jockey for shelf space. I can't, any of these things. So the fact that we can just put stuff up on Steam and like and sell it and show people and they
it's
can
very
experience
nice.
it, it's
Well,
it's
I don't
really
have
really good.
you have a good social media presence. Is it from doing this?
I kind of had one before when I was an illustrator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but but it's really it was like nothing compared to now. It's like it's really grown more, I think,
So
because I
you'll
think now
have an
there's a
immediate audience, which will be nice.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really kind of happened like gradually over time because I've actually been working on this for quite a while. It started just like as a little hobby project and kind of
You've been
grew into
working on
more
it
than that.
since EGA was in. No, I'm kidding.
Not not that long, but yeah, pretty long. I mean, I was an illustrator and I started to just play with that pixel art style like 10 years ago
Uh-huh.
probably. So yeah, I've been working on it for quite some time, but I didn't really start focusing on it until like fall 2018 when I first showed the game publicly and at this an event in Toronto called Wordplay, and it's like a narrative showcase. And so I got to show it in public to people, and that was pretty incredible and intimidating at the same
It makes
time.
you
And
want
then
to keep going on it, though, doesn't it?
oh yeah. Oh my goodness. So yeah, do you have an experience like that where you started to show your
Oh
game
yeah,
public and
I mean
do
I made my
events?
stuff like I said 13 years ago just for fun, just like a small little projects. And then in 2017, it was featured in PC Gamer
Ooh.
best free games of Halloween. And I was like,
Oh my
"What?
goodness.
What the crap?" Because it's terrible. Like my first game's awful. And then there was like Twitch streamers were playing it and there was some YouTube, videos about it, and I was
Hmm.
like, awesome, I'm gonna make the sequel. So I just did in 2019, and
That's
after that,
great.
I started the third one in 2019 or 2020. So it's been about 2 years since I've been working on this one.
It's great because honestly, when I think about it, yeah, games are made to be played. And it's funny because we can make the games we want to play, but we can never have that experience of playing them for the first
Oh
time.
yeah, I do. Do
Um,
you have any games that you wish you could play again for the first time?
Ooh, well, there's some game. What's nice actually about the fact that like of liking those older games is I've played them like ages ago and I can return to them almost as if they're new. I mean, I'll still remember things here and there.
Yeah, where you kind of
But
get you remember the overall story, but you might not remember each puzzle solution.
yeah, yeah. So that's nice. But in terms of discovering something again for the first time, I'm just thinking about ooh. Well, I just recently played Return of the Obra Dinn, and that was kind of amazing.
I never played that, and
Uh,
I want to because I love the
oh
guy
my
who made
goodness.
that.
Yeah,
He's
Lucas Pope. Yeah, amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
What was his for other game before that?
Papers, Please. Papers,
Yeah,
Please.
yeah, yeah. I was like, hold on,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which guy he was, but yeah, I love Papers, Please. That was fun.
Yeah, so that I would love to experience that again. I plan on replaying Secret of Monkey Island just on my own, not on stream or anything like that. I try to stream games I've never really played before from that era so I can kind of experience them. And that's what's so great about PC gaming is we have access to so much stuff from way back then and it's usually pretty
Practically infinite
easily
stuff.
yeah. We're so fortunate to have that. Also I recently started well the past few years when they re-released Day of the Tentacle I started to play that one again.
I've never
That
played
would have
it.
been nice. Oh my goodness, that's another one. That's probably in my top five as well. So I mean, that type of thing where it would be really cool to play that again for the first time, because of just it's got the most ingenious puzzle design
Uh-huh.
and the voice acting is just top
Wasn't
notch.
that like the start of like the newer LucasArts like era?
Yeah, I would say so.
Cause like
Yeah,
that's an early one, but then I played Sam and Max Hit the Road, and then I played like
fantastic.
Full Throttle and The Dig.
Yes, yes.
Those are the ones I'm familiar with, but I never played Day of the Tentacle.
Oh my goodness, I very 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 much recommend it. It's really really
I
fantastic.
can picture it. I've seen lots of stuff
Oh
from it.
yeah, oh
It's like
yeah.
got that MC Escher like style backgrounds. They're very
Zany.
yeah, not Escher, but just like distorted door frames and like weird perspectives. That's what I picture the most about it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's really cartoony in a really pleasant way. I also really like the style of Curse of Monkey Island. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
I know what it looks like, but I never played it. No.
It's really good too. It's another one that I would like to get back to that one. I actually have the big box of that one still. But yeah, I haven't played it for, years and years and years. So I almost feel like I'm coming back to that. I would come back to that one pretty fresh.
My family's first like real computer, not the Commodore, was like 1995. It was like a Windows 95 Packard Bell. So that's when I started getting into PC
Ooh.
games. So I had to wait all the way till then. But my friends had a lot of stuff. So
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, going over to like the neighbor's house and
yeah,
seeing what they have, and my dad was part of that office network of pirate
of
software
course
pirate
that's the
gang.
best when you have like a family member who's on the inside of
Yeah,
getting all
so
the cool
we
stuff.
get those photocopied manuals and things like
Yep.
that, and there was a time when you could actually there was something called CompuLibrary where you could actually like borrow games like you're borrowing library books,
Huh.
and nothing was stopping you from really making copies and
Oh
stuff like
no.
that,
Well,
which is
they
what happened.
tried. Didn't they do like red paper with like silvery ink so that it would never copy sometimes? I've seen a game or two with that.
Yeah, there's some copy protection stuff. Usually it does have to do with like a manual or other kind of documentation. And
Yeah.
sometimes, like even the pirate wheel. So like for instance, Secret of Monkey
The
Island had the
Dial-A-Pirate, is that what it's
Dial-A-Pirate.
called?
Yeah, so my dad still like he cut out a cardboard and pasted the Dial-A-Pirate and put a screw in the middle and everything. So yeah,
Nice.
it's still somewhat possible to do all that stuff. And nowadays we have on GOG they've got they sometimes do away with some of the copy protection, but it's just it's nice to have that enterprising dad, or that
Yeah.
network of friends where you could kind of share those games
Well, it's
around.
cool if your dad was into technology too.
Yes, yeah, my dad was always he was always kind of an early adopter. Like we had a camcorder pretty early. He like had like 8 millimeter film stuff before that, and yeah, we always had a computer in the house because he was interested in that type of a
That's
thing. So I
cool.
was really fortunate growing up to have computers basically around my entire life and just being super comfortable around them.
But yeah, I can't remember when. How long have you been working on the Crimson Diamond?
Yeah, so yeah, about maybe 10 or 11 years just as a hobby, kind of like just something I would put aside for months at a
Oh
time and
yeah,
come back to and
because I
everything.
remember
But
it
yeah.
was several years ago is when I saw the screenshot, and I think I remember tweeting something where I was like, "Mom always said get you a girl who knows how to dither" or something like that. I put it on your page or something like that. That's the first time I remember seeing because I was like, I looked at your icon, and you had like a face like that on it, and I was like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
EGA." That's like, and I was like, so she made all these.
Yeah, so that was probably 2018 then, because that's really when I started to do the Twitter and I
Yeah, it's
you
been a
know,
couple of years.
yeah, all that stuff. I put the website together and all that. So yeah, when after I first showed the game publicly, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to make a go of this and actually start putting up more online presence for it and things like that.
And one thing I
Which
noticed about it is, boy, does she like to. She loves to listen in on people, doesn't she? She's a snooping little girl.
it's so fun, isn't it
That's
though?
like, but that's the intrigue, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's that thing where, what do people really think
Mm-hmm.
when they don't think anyone's listening? And just that sneakiness is something that was in, yeah, like the Colonel's Bequest and Laura Bow and Dagraf Amon Ra, these different ways of listening into these conversations and just being privy to this secret information, which I think it's
And
kind of delightful for
the
people.
end of the demo, is that the end of chapter one?
Yes, that is the
Okay.
end of chapter one. The game is 7 chapters. I'm working currently on chapter five. I'm like a third of the way through chapter five right now.
Do you have
Um,
like? Because I do this all the time. Do you have like stuff towards the end already done? You just haven't like finished
yeah.
any of it?
Well, I have the broad strokes of the story mapped out, but I don't have like any assets for that part or
Okay.
anything like
Because
that.
I literally one of the earlier thing I was like, wow, 2 years ago I made like one of the endings. I was like, why do I do that first?
Nice.
But it kind of gives you something to aim for, you know. I don't know.
That's a good idea, I think. Well, I mean, so, people kind of have different development methods and stuff. I know, like for instance, Francisco Gonzalez, who is working currently on Rosewater, he kind of will go through the whole thing just with rough placeholder
Hmm.
stuff from beginning to end, pretty much. But I actually like to work on it chapter for chapter. Weirdly,
Well, it keeps it probably more cohesive that way. Like you
yeah.
remember just the feel of every chapter as you go.
Yeah, yeah. So there's definitely that method of doing it. Just for me, it came naturally to because I developed the kind of the first chapter all on its own and it stands alone as the demo, and I just moved on to chapter two and I worked on chapter two and then chapter three
Do
and
you
so
have
I
any
kind of
do you have any things where you're like kind of made it up or changed it on the fly? You're like, I'd rather have this happen now. Now that I've gotten to this point, have you made some changes? I
oh
don't
yeah, for
expect you to
sure.
spoil anything, but
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. And that's kind of what keeps it interesting because you realize as you're building, chapter four, oh, ch in chapter two, I need to adjust something, or I need to
yeah.
make this information more obvious earlier on, or I want to foreshadow this piece of information. So even as I'm working on chapter five now, there might be little changes here and there in chapter one that people might notice, and things have changed in chapter one since
Yeah,
the
I was gonna
very,
say,
very
did you have to
first
go
version.
back and change anything, any dialogue or anything?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I'm adjusting dialogue here and there, which is pretty easy to do. And sometimes I'm adding, inventory items into places that you might need later on,
Yeah.
but they'll suddenly be in those same places in chapter one now for no reason.
And the let's see, is it fully playable all the way to the point you're at? Like you could basically go through it. There's no problems.
Yes, yeah, it's fully playable from chapters one through
That's
four.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're currently on 5, yeah. Is that the
Yes.
famous bucket chapter?
The bucket is funny because the bucket. So yes, this piece, this gorgeous close up of an EGA bucket in 320 by 200 pixel glory is from the introductory sequence of the game,
Oh,
and
okay.
so yeah, so you can actually see this whole introductory sequence in if you download the demo off Steam. There
I saw the
is
sequence, but I don't remember the bucket for some reason.
well, the bucket looks nothing like it looks now. The bucket,
Oh,
it's
okay.
yeah, it's super like it looks like MS Paint, super gloppy. I just wanted to just have it and just nail down that sequence and then go back and like refine it as I
I
go.
assumed you were going to do that with the intro because I noticed a lot of the characters
Yes.
looked pretty stand-in,
Yes, and yeah, so that's what that
and
is.
I'm like,
And
wait, she's way more attention to detail than that. So this must be a rough cut right now.
yes, yes, totally just a rough cut. In fact, people have said, oh, maybe you want to put like a little sign that says this is just rough or something. Because
Beta
yeah,
or
I mean,
something like that. Beta build of
yeah,
the
because
intro.
yeah, because it kind of gives it like a false impression of what the game actually looks like.
Well, jokes
But
on my audience. That's what I draw like. No, no.
it's actually I don't mind it that way right now though because I've been streaming the game art, which is what I like to do, but because it's like an adventure game, it's super narrative. I'm really wary about work showing. You know, I don't show my current work on chapter 5 on those
Yeah,
streams because I don't want to spoil anything. So it's actually really nice that I can go back to that introductory sequence and kind of refine that artwork, and that's not spoiler at all.
I get annoyed because I want to show stuff so much and I
Yes.
can't. I can't show anything. Like every little
Hmm.
thing is a spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ugh, it doesn't bother you. You just want the world to play it like next week.
Yeah, I
But there's
can't
so much
wait to
left to
finish these.
do. Are there? Let's see. I know you said you're not going to have action sequences, right?
No.
Because you don't like those and those other ones.
I don't like them in other games, and I also just lack the technical know-how to do those things.
That's fine. I don't think they really belong in a mystery game anyway.
Maybe one day I'll have an arcade sequence that everyone can hate.
Arcade, yeah, that's
But
what it's called.
yeah.
But what about like what kind of puzzly type things do you have besides inventory puzzles? Are there actual like
Hmm.
weird different puzzle sequences,
Hmm.
or is it mostly
Yeah.
inventory management and figuring out?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, without
In
spoiling
term,
anything.
yeah, without spoiling anything, I guess most of it has to do with exploration and inventory. There's actually, in terms of progress in the game, I've got this notebook in the game that kind of tells you specifically, okay, do this to progress to the next
Yeah, it's
section
like
of the game.
a little task list,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, because the thing about something like the Colonel's Bequest is that you could kind of accidentally progress the game by walking into a room and witnessing an important conversation.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to be that way in my game because I felt like it kind of discourages people from exploring because they're just afraid of accidentally advancing the time.
Well, that
So
was a curse of a lot of Sierra games, is accidentally doing anything.
yeah, so I wanted to explicitly say, okay, well, like for instance, in the demo, it will say, talk to everyone or whatever. And so when you talk to everyone, then it moves it on to it's now dinner time, and then you have a dinner time cutscene. But so there's a lot of stuff in the game that you don't necessarily have to do. It just kind of, if you do these things, or you listen into certain conversations, or you ask certain questions, you learn more about the story, you learn more about the characters and their motivations.
Yeah, and a lot of
But
that type of game is character driven, where it's like
yeah,
you're trying to figure
exactly.
out what exactly they're up to, what are they thinking, what are they doing. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
so
moving
that's
your picture around a little bit. I
oh no,
accidentally bumped it. Okay, good.
making me more comfortable in the
Yeah,
chair.
I accidentally threw you off of your waveform a little bit there.
Oh
There you go.
no. Thank you. Yeah, so most there's a lot of the game that is not strictly necessary to do. It's just stuff that you can do to hopefully get more out of the story and
Like
hopefully,
take a shower.
yeah, exactly. Take a shower, use the washroom, have a drink or something. Yeah, all those things are very optional. So I'm trying to think of like the puzzles that I have in the game because there are a fair few things that you need to do, but I don't try to make them really like moon logic-y. I don't try to make anything too hard to understand. I try to make everything pretty straightforward because the text parser as it is can be pretty daunting for people.
Yeah. What what kind of you said moon logic. What sort of moon logic screwed you over as a younger gamer, like trying to do these things? You remember any specific puzzles where you're like, come
Well,
on?
yeah, I mean there are some infamous ones that people talk about all the time, which in games I haven't even played yet. So there's like the Gabriel Knight cat for mustache thing, which I never played. So
Gabriel
I
Knight,
can't
which
really.
Gabriel Knight?
I think Gabriel Knight 3, I think had
Okay,
this
I was gonna say I beat the
puzzle.
first one when I was younger, and I didn't have to look anything up, but one thing. and it was just absurd and stupid. But
Yeah, so I did play Gabriel Knight as well, like fairly. I didn't play it back in the day, but I did play it fairly recently, and yeah, that one was pretty good in
did
terms
you beat it?
of logic. I did, but I probably needed a hint or two.
Then
Yeah.
there was some arcade sequences in there, wasn't there? Sort of. I think there was like something chasing you around at one point, just like zombies, wasn't there?
Goodness, maybe that's probably something I needed help with, so I probably didn't labor too much over
Yeah,
that.
there was like you're in like an old tomb and there's like living dead walking around. You have to like avoid them or so. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I probably just kind of buzzed through that because I'm not I don't have the patience of someone like, for instance, you were talking to Hungry Gloria the previous video. I was listening to some of that one, and she's really patient about working through stuff and
She's
being really
ridiculously
persistent.
patient.
I don't have that. So I just
She
go, okay,
likes to suffer
oh
through
my
things. She doesn't want
goodness.
any
No.
hints. She doesn't want anything.
I totally respect that and I admire it, and it's just so not me.
Hmm.
In my Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade playthrough, I would struggle a little bit, and I'm like, that's it. I break out the walkthrough. I'm like, I'm Castle Brunwald. I'm not going to do this anymore. People have warned me of this. I'm just going to get through this.
But if you remember anything about Gabriel Knight 1, well, it was 1, right? You played the first one?
Yes, I did.
It was. You have to play the drums to mean certain things. And
Yes,
it was like
yes.
DJ Conclave this. And I'm like, how was I ever supposed to know that? That you have
Yeah,
to
I
type
probably
in
didn't need
DJ for
to.
Dr. John. Oh, it was so stupid.
Yeah, that stuff it doesn't register with me because I just don't let myself struggle with it. Like, the second there's a bit of discomfort, I'm like, nope, done, moving on.
And back in the day, we
It's
didn't have that luxury, though.
no, well, exactly,
But we
and
also
so
had
now
more
I'm
free
being more
time.
regimented. Yeah, well, that too, of course. Yeah, so I don't. That's why when I'm designing the Crimson Diamond, I want to make it easy for people to play. For someone like me to play and enjoy and kind of get through it. What was really good about the Colonel's Bequest is you could kind of receive an ending no matter what if you just kind of wandered around,
Yeah.
let time pass. And so yeah, I didn't want something where it was easy to get stuck. There's no, hopefully no dead man walking like soft lock or hard lock scenarios or anything like that
Is there
in it.
anything where she gets eaten by an alligator or anything like that? Is there any deaths?
No, no, we don't have any alligators in Northern Ontario, I don't
Okay.
think so.
I didn't know if you had any treacherous things like her getting cut in half, like like Laura Bow.
No, no, but there are a couple deaths. I would like to add
Okay.
more
So there
eventually.
is a threat hanging over you.
There's a slight threat. I think
Yeah.
in the demo there are two ways to die, and so far in the game there might be three.
But yeah,
I
it's not a focus point of this.
no, yeah, no. I didn't want it to be that Sierra type of difficulty. We could just fall off a bridge or fall down some
No, yeah, it's
stairs.
annoying. And I noticed a lot of the writing and the descriptions are very cheeky, like the old narrated games like that where they have a little bit of cheek thrown in there.
Yeah. So in terms of like when I'm thinking of like game logic that I would suffer from, I'm thinking I keep on going to Colonel's Bequest because I've just been watching another streamer, Robot Spacer, playing it, and just if you walk down the center of the rock, the chandelier will fall on you and kill you, and it's just
Ugh.
like, well, there's no real reason for that, and that's
Yeah.
super annoying.
Or did somebody try to off you?
Yeah, that's another thing. Of course, like you start wondering, well, does this actually make sense in the context of the game or
Yeah,
not?
doesn't isn't
And
that in that game? Didn't like somebody just sometimes randomly just grab you from a shadow?
yes, and it was very horrifying as a child to have that
So it's
happen.
like, oh, I walked into the wrong spot.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Twitch chat, and there's just a question about, are there any choices branching in the game? For example, can you tell X about Y or not tell them, which affects
Oh
the
yeah,
story? Yeah. So there's not a lot of branching in the game too early on. Like, I really think there's really only going to be branching at the very end, where there might be a few like ending variations, and it's more a matter of the quality of the information you gather up to that point.
yeah.
And then
Well,
there'll
another
be
thing
kind of like a
that's
little pop quiz at the end.
a thing that gets tricky about branches like that is you have to take into account an entirely new script later.
Yeah, exactly.
Then like 3 to 4 times as much work if you have like more than one branch.
Well, exactly. And so sometimes I do have slight branching things like that that are only textual. So, there might be something that you asked someone about earlier on, and you might have that information at hand later on, but you could still just obtain that information also later in the story.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there's stuff like that, but it's not necessarily branching. It's more like the game will track the fact that you kind of know something already, if you found it out earlier.
Those
But
good old variables. Got
yeah,
this. Got. I
exactly.
always do you name your variables stupid, obvious, easy things?
I try, but
I
I
do. Yeah, I
sometimes
try to make it as obvious as possible.
sometimes I change the naming convention halfway through, and then everything gets really
Oh my
inconsistent.
god, I can't even describe how many times it was like, what the heck? I'm like, why isn't this working? Global dot killed night equals 1, yes. And I'm like, oh, I called it global dot killed night, not night
Yeah.
killed or something. You know what I mean? Like some kind
Well,
of
exactly. Yeah, stuff like that
ugh.
happens all the time.
Yep. And like, let's see. I already. Oh yeah, I already did the moon logic thing. So what? I'm trying to put this into words. Why isn't it coming out? Like, how did you like build your or did you work backwards from how you wanted the story to go, or did you start with like a premise and then just work forwards to how you wanted it to end?
I worked with I worked with the setting first, weirdly, I guess. Like I didn't really have an idea for a story when I started making it because it did start out as just pixel art rooms. When I learned the pixel art, I'm like, okay, well, Colonel's Bequest is my favorite look for an adventure game, so can
That
I make rooms
establishes
that
your
look like
tone,
that?
though.
Yeah, exactly. So I just started building rooms with not really any plan on making a game. So I just started making these little rooms, like a dollhouse of rooms, and I started to put them together. And then I started to gradually teach myself Adventure Game Studio, which is like free open source adventure game engine, which is wonderful. And like Dave Gilbert, who runs Wajidai Games, uses Adventure Game Studio. Kathy Rain was built in Adventure Game Studio as well.
I used it like when I was a teenager, the oldest
Mhm.
version of it, and that's
It
all I know about it. Is I can picture like the floor map for like the distance of your character shrinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's great. Like they continue to maintain it and update it over the years. So it remains a wonderful tool that only seems to be getting better and better. Um, so I heartily recommend if anyone is interested in making an adventure game like that type of very standard adventure game where you know exactly, there's rooms and there's characters and all that. It's all set up for you. It's perfect. It's an integrated design environment, IDE or whatever it's called. So I
And
super recommend it. But yeah, I started to gradually teach myself that. I would watch YouTube videos and I would go to the AGS forums and just like find out stuff if I would get stuck and things like that. And it would just be like, okay, well, let's connect these rooms together and like let's make a character to walk around. And so it was based on like learning how to do that stuff first. And then I
yeah, the
started to think
knowledge
about
came
like,
first.
yeah, the knowledge came first and just like slowly building that house, this house setting, and then trying to think. I started thinking later after the house was quite developed. Well, who would live here? Why would this be here? What kind of characters would come here? Like, what do they all want? And that's kind of when my other interests started to be included into the story because I'm really interested in like local history and Ontario history and ghost towns and geology and
Well, yeah,
mineralogy. So
it's
that all
based
kind
in Ontario too, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So it all came together really nicely in a combination of all my interests, and I've since then learned more about those interests as well, which is really nice. But yeah, it started as the setting first, and then it kind of grew from there into what the story has eventually become.
How did you birth the character?
Well, that kind of yeah, that was almost like an afterthought because
You're like, well, she's kind of a malleable thing at the moment. It's mostly about the
yeah,
setting.
she actually just started as a way to keep track of what the scale of a figure would be in the room. Because the
Oh,
first
like a
absolute first
placeholder almost.
Yeah, kind of like a placeholder, like just so I would know like how tall to make the countertops and like how
That's
high the
funny.
cupboards should be. Because my first room that I made it's not in the game because it's completely all at a scale because I didn't have a figure in the room.
Does it like
And so
look real wonky?
yeah, it looks super wonky, like the couches are gigantic and the doorways are too tall and things like. So what I did was, okay, well, I need a figure for scale. And so I just created a figure for scale. I made her kind of look like Laura Bow from Colonel's Request. But actually, if you put those two sprites right beside each other, they look very very different. It's just because she's like a redhead and there's only so many
It's yeah, it's
colors.
the Southern Belle thing that the look that's going on. But other than that, she's not
Yeah,
a
so
Southern Belle. She's an Ontario girl, right?
yeah, and she's much shorter and like the colors are different and things. But anyway, so I started with her just as like, okay, well, this is how big I want everything to be in the room. And so that's how she started. I just made her a redhead because, well, it's fine because Laura Bow is a redhead. And I
EGA,
never really,
yeah.
EGA, it's fine. And then I eventually came up with a story about why she would be that way. So just like with the setting, like why is this here? Well, why does she have red hair? And I started to do that historical research, and I realized, well, yes, in Toronto, there was an influx of like Irish immigrants during that time. Well,
Oh yeah.
her parents' time would have been an influx of Irish immigrants. So her parents are Irish immigrants because the potato famine and all that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she was born and raised in Toronto, so like that was that link for me that kind of made it work, and also just the fact it's called the Crimson Diamond, and it's a place called Crimson, Ontario, which is a town that I invented
I was gonna
based
say
on a
it's not a
lot
real
of.
place, right?
No, it's not a real place, but it's based on a lot of places that were real. So a lot of like old mining towns that kind of sprung up in Toronto, in northern Ontario, and then kind of like faded away after a while. I invented this one because it's a sort of a garnet mining town is what I was thinking, and so it was called Crimson because the rocks were that they were mining are deep, this beautiful deep red color. And I thought, okay, that's great because she's got red hair as well. The game's called the Crimson Diamond,
Yep.
and that ties in. And so eventually I started to build the connections of stuff that I kind of had just generated without really thinking about it. And then those finding those connections are always the most exciting part about creating something like this.
And then they found the diamond in a fish, right?
Yes, yeah. So that's
And
another
they're like, "Holy
example of,
crud, there's
well,
diamonds here!" So then
yeah,
everybody
well, yeah.
started.
So I guess I should say what the story of
Yeah,
the
go
game
ahead.
is.
Give
Yeah,
us a
yeah.
synopsis. This is your baby, so go for it.
Right, of course. Yeah, so yeah, so it starts as yeah, so Crimson, Ontario was a mining town that was booming as a producer of garnet. So like garnets, but not like gem quality garnets, more like garnets are very hard, so they can be used in it for industrial
That's my
purposes as
birthstone.
abrasives and like ground down and everything like that. So they were kind of used for that. And then eventually like either like the mines were depleted. I can't remember what my
What
reasoning
you
was,
wrote.
but yeah, I think it says in the intro, but yeah, I don't have a good memory, but it's
I
there.
do that all
I
the
think
time.
yeah. So the mines either got depleted or like the value of them fell, and so and the so that they ended up like everyone left basically. Everyone just left because like there's no reason to be here anymore, except for this one guy whose parents built this big lodge because they had this dream that this was the next big thing. So they built this big lodge called the Crimson Lodge, and this guy's kind of a recluse and he kind of lives there by himself. Well, with one like helper guy and maybe a friend nearby, and he lived a nice quiet life until one day when a fisherman was fishing in the area, catches a fish, guts it, and there's a huge diamond pops out, which kind of triggers this whole rush back into that area where people are trying to find their fortunes, and they haven't, and they dig up all over the place except for this one guy who has this property. And so everyone thinks, well, are there diamonds on this guy's property? And you play Nancy Maple, who gets sent on assignment from the Royal Canadian Museum. It's the Royal Ontario
From a
Museum,
train,
really,
right?
but
She's on a train to get there,
yeah, so yeah, she gets sent on the train up north because
which
she's a
is
clerk.
important, isn't it? The train thing.
Yes, it's very important. So yeah, that's another thing, and I'll get back to that part. But yeah, so she gets sent by her boss up to find out if this claim is real or not, and she jumps at the chance because she wants to become a mineralogist and a geologist, but she wants to go to school for it. She's a pretty young lady and she wants to go to school for it, but she doesn't have any bona fides, so she needs to get up there and try to make a name for herself and maybe make a discovery or two that'll kind of put her on the map. And so yeah, she takes the train. It takes all day. She loses all her luggage, which is something that happens in Dagger
Ugh.
of Amon-Ra as well. And she ends up at this lodge and end up not being able to leave for certain reasons, and kind of gets all tangled up in all like the scheming and everything like that. And she eventually has to solve some stuff and do some field work and figure out what's really going on up there.
And this is a good question actually that I was thinking. That somebody wrote right here. Now, since people have been following you with this project for a long time now, right? People know about it. They know you've been working on it for a long time. Do you feel like how do you deal with expectations? You feel like people are. Do you feel like you have more pressure?
It's funny because yeah, I stream every Tuesday, and we get a wonderful group of like regulars coming in and new people coming in all the time. And I've been really fortunate because no one has ever put any pressure on me whatsoever to finish. When are you going to finish this? Everyone says take your time, it'll be ready when it's ready, and it's been nothing but like support
How
and
about
like.
not with a release date, but with just general reception? Are you worried about what people are going to think about it, or are you like whatever?
Well, of course, I've got, I've worked a lot and I put a lot into this. So of course I want people to enjoy it. And I'd like it, I'd like it to do well, of
Oh yeah,
course.
no, you'll do perfectly fine. Trust me. With the amount of the fact that a lot of people that I didn't knew about it know about it. So there you go. So it's like, oh
No,
yeah,
that's great. Yeah,
you're more
that's super
known than you
encouraging.
think. Let's put it that way.
That makes me feel really good because honestly, You just never know, right? I mean, you work on something, you put the time in, and then also all the peripheral stuff, of course, which is like, yeah, like, streaming on Twitch and being on social media and
Yeah.
everything. Like that all adds up to this one thing. And people do this all the time, and you set this thing up and then you set it out into the world, and after that, it's kind of not up to you anymore.
Yep. Well, and
And
I mean, you're not everybody's gonna like everything you make anyway,
of
so who
course.
cares if not everybody likes it either way? But yeah, most people
Well, the
will.
thing is another reason why I'm so thankful for the patience of the people who have been following me in my project is that yeah, I've been doing all this other work on other projects. So like yeah, working with Strange Scaffold on Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, doing the art directing that Playdate game, and then doing Witch Strandings among other things. And it's all because I do want to be in the game industry in some capacity. And so if my game launches and maybe it doesn't do that well, then I'll still have all these options hopefully.
Oh yeah,
I,
you've got doors open all over the place, I'm sure.
yeah. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And so and also like during this production time, development time of the Crimson Diamond, like I have a Patreon, but I don't really have any like a lot of money coming in from developing the game. It's kind of just something I put my own time and effort into. So taking on those other contracts that actually pay and give me other experience is super valuable for me and like for so many reasons.
Yeah, because this is
And
like a pet project, like a hobby project, right?
yes, it's entirely self-funded. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a publisher or anything like that. And I'm grateful because I can make it exactly how I want to make it. There
Mm-hmm.
is no external pressure on me to finish it. It's only like me saying I need to launch this. And I want to share this full complete game with everybody, of
Well, it's good
course.
that you don't have any sort of deadlines for your own personal thing because now you can make sure it's tuned to perfection before you put it out.
Well, yeah, well, as close to that as possible.
Exactly.
But yeah, of course, like when I work on other stuff, those people have deadlines, and then so yeah,
Yep.
my deadline has been pushed back a few times because of this other work I've been doing. But people have been super understanding about it. I'm so grateful that no one's been like really trying to put any pressure on me.
Do you remember what your first like commissioned work was for somebody else,
Absolutely,
and
and
where you're
actually,
excited?
yeah, absolutely. So my first commissioned work, well, for in terms of pixel art,
Just
was
anything for
oh
somebody's
well.
game.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like so, there's a game. I so another event that I went to was Adventure X, which is in London. I went to that in 2019, and it was another narrative showcase. I'd never been to London before. It was at the British Library, and it's kind of like this really wonderful event for yeah narrative focused games. It's a huge hub because a lot of European developers will go to it that might
Yeah.
not necessarily like come all the way to North America to show stuff. And it's people who are super passionate about adventure games and basically in narrative games. And I I met a bunch of adventure game devs. A lot of their games have since launched, which kind of makes me feel like, oh my goodness, I have to launch. Yan, who of Golasso Games, who has since launched, and it's been like a year since he's launched it, an adventure game called Inspector Waffles,
Is
and
that the
it's this
cat?
one. Yes, it's a cat, and
Okay, yeah,
it's
I'm
it's
familiar a
adorable.
little bit.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And so I met him there, and so we became friends. And he had some kind of like bonus art collectibles in his game. They're called wool ball cards, which are like they're the equivalent of basketball cards
Mm-hmm.
because he's a big basketball fan. And so he made like this little collectible you can find in the game. And he asked a few different artists if they wanted to contribute to that. And so I got to contribute a piece of pixel art that kind of was Crimson Diamond. I have a Crimson Diamond kind of jersey that kind of looks like the logo of my own game, and because all the characters are either cats or dogs, so well, all the wool ball characters are cats. So I got to put in my dear departed Dido cat,
Aw.
whom I've put in other in kind of cards that I paint for people. I got to put Dido Cat in this pixel art thing, and that launched a year ago. And I played the game to completion. I got to find my own card and everything, so that was super exciting. That was the first game that launched that had my art in it. It was just one little card.
That's cool though. And then you were hooked, right? You're like, oh, I want to do more stuff for everybody.
Yeah, and since then, yeah, I mean, like Space Warlord, like I said, launched like last December, and that was super exciting because I got to do like these alien portraits, which were a lot of fun, and they were actually the aesthetic of the game is kind of like that this green monochrome, but with like splashes of pink and stuff. And
Huh?
so I
I haven't
got
seen
to
that.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like I got to do like crazy alien portraits of like kind of like that look kind of old school, that look like they would have been totally at home in like a game on a Tandy or something.
I used to
Um,
love the amber screens.
yes, Amber
But
was the other. I did have an Amber screen as well. But yeah, for some reason I always gravitated toward the green monochrome because I
and
think that's the first one I had.
do you ever miss the hum of old computers? Like
Oh
the dry.
yeah,
There's something
absolutely.
so special about that that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, like that sound of when the disc boots
Yeah, and
up.
it sounds like
It's
little
one.
crunchies going on inside.
It's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do that.
that was like just part of the experience because it was right under the monitor usually, just like a little whatever
It was
the case was like right under the monitor, and you could just hear it right in front of you.
it felt wonderfully analog, you
Oh
know?
yeah, you could hear it thinking basically every time it would try to think
Yes.
about something. And
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of fond memories of that kind of stuff. I know some people who still have like those old school like putty colored desktop
yep.
setups, and I think that's awesome.
That it was yeah. There was something. There's. I'm not saying like things are worse now, but there's a lot of stuff that will never come back. That's for sure. And like the general feel of computing back then was just different. It was good times.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not cool. In a way that is now cool, right? I mean, we
yes,
don't, I want to bring putty back. I want to have putty, kitchen appliances that have
putty.
big,
That's an
bulky
interesting
buttons that
color
light
name.
up.
Just putty.
Yeah, putty. It's great.
And let's see. So like, what are you gonna do once the Crimson Diamond comes really close to being finished? Which who knows when that's gonna be,
Oh
right?
my
You have no
goodness.
idea. What are you gonna do to like promote it?
Right. Well,
That's
what's been
always the
un
question, isn't it? It's like I don't know.
yes. Well, here's the thing: is that it's really great that streaming on Twitch has been really great because I started to get to know a lot of like people who stream retro and stream like adventure games and things like that, and some of them have said, "Oh yeah, we'll totally play the game, when it's finished," and so that's part of it. Part of it is just having that like wonderful Twitch streamers potentially playing the game.
Public
That
exposure is everything.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. And also another great benefit of working on those other projects with these other people is that I get to meet, people who are interested in supporting the game or giving advice, or people like who are in marketing and PR who, work for Strange Scaffold or other places I've worked with who are saying, yeah, just, when you're ready, just let us know and maybe we can give you some pointers of how you can, get your game in front of
Get the
people,
name
that
out a
kind of
little
thing.
bit,
Yeah, so
a little bit
those
more.
connections are super valuable as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I've all my crud is free. I have a full time job. This is just my hobby.
Mhm.
I do everything as a hobby. So it's like, so I don't really need to market myself. But I always had a
Mhm.
hard time with marketing myself. I don't know how to do that because I'm like I said, I'm an old fuddy duddy. I don't really do the social media thing, and I'm kind of new to Twitter and Twitch and stuff. So I'm slowly building up a fan base. But I have gotten a
It,
lot of positivity. There's not
yeah,
really like for as crappy as the stuff I make is like I've never had many people say like, "Oh, this sucks." You know what I mean? People are very
people are
positive.
really, yeah, which is wonderful. Like people are supportive, and I think also people who also create things and make things are even more supportive because they know how hard it is, right?
Yeah,
It's that total appreciation of, yeah, this stuff that takes a lot of work and it's a lot of focus and a lot of dedication. And so yeah, I've been had really positive experiences overall, I'd say. Um, it's tricky with the marketing. I guess for me, I kind of had a bit of a benefit because, yeah, when I went to school for illustration, we were kind of prepared upon graduation to kind of run our own businesses and promote ourselves. And so that was something they
hmm.
really pushed on us, saying, you have to like have a portfolio site, you have to like share your work publicly and on social media and stuff like that, and try to, connect with other artists, connect with other people. That was heavily encouraged, and I find it actually much easier to make those connections and to market myself as a game dev versus as an illustrator
Yeah,
because
illustrating. I can see that being hard to market yourself as.
yes, it's very difficult because, well, first of all, um, it's very isolating to be an illustrator in a way that game development not necessarily is. I mean, for if working on my own project, yeah, it's pretty isolating where I'm completely doing everything except for the music. But on those all those other projects, you've got like half a dozen other people, working, all working for the same
Yep.
on the same project. And and so yeah, you get to meet people and you make those connections and you work with them and you have all these shared experiences, so that's super compelling and super helpful in terms of building those relationships that, yeah, like you couldn't have an illustration. And
And
most of my
it's.
illustration, oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, it just most of my illustration was, yeah, for like newspapers and magazines, and they would be up on a newsstand for like a week or a month and then just disappear off the face of the planet. Like it never persisted really.
There's nothing permanent feeling about it. It's like okay, I did that. Now what?
Well, exactly. So now when I stream, I do these, and they're up on my Twitch page, and then I put the VODs on YouTube, and those are there forever, and they get just they just accumulate, and they become like, oh, there's like tons of videos that, people can watch, and the Let's Plays and all that, and it does stick around. Like, it's really nice to have like a presence that it's not as like fleeting, really.
No, yeah, like it's not a big thing to me, but like uh, it's not even a driving force. I don't know how to describe it, but like sometimes I think about it's like if I were dead tomorrow, it's like what would people remember?
Hmm.
Do I
Hmm.
have things behind that would be and it's yeah, like leaving things for people to enjoy is like super important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's great about games is that there's so many different aspects of the game for people to engage with. So I feel like it's also easier for people to get connected with a game versus like just an illustration
Yeah, because
because
it's more
they're having an
hands-on.
experience. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more hands-on.
And with indie devs especially, but any game really, because it's the tons of different types of art coming together
Hmm.
in one thing. You feel the connection that the when you play an indie game or any game really, you feel the work that was put in as it's going. Sort of, you feel all the gears clicking together as one, and you kind of connect with that person a little bit in a work level. Obviously, not a personal level, but like you're
Yeah.
engaging with all the art that they spent all that time creating and all that. I don't know. I always liked indie games because of that.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why I've been enjoying like this phase of like my life in terms of professionally the illustration versus the game development, because game development has given me that opportunity to be creative in so many other ways, not
Yes.
just the visual, right? So there is, the actual story and writing dialogue and like designing the puzzles and things like that. There's so many wonderful, and they all tie together, like you said, like they all work together and they
Mm-hmm.
all click together in a way to create something that is like one like vision or one
And it's
thing
only
for people to
yours.
experience.
Yeah, I don't
Yes,
make the
yes.
music either. I could, I just don't have the time for that. But like everything else is like this is their vision, like all coming together. Their animation, their writing, their drawings, like everything coming together.
Yeah, I really love that part of about indie games. I love, quick little original, unique indie games that are just one thing specifically. I think they're like little treasures.
Yeah.
Um, the music part, it's kind of funny because yeah, I mean, I actually don't have any capacity to make my own music. I actually made some of the like the little sound effects that are
Mm-hmm.
in the game right now. But
I do
I
write
was
music. It's just
oh
I
wow.
just concentrate on everything else that there is to
Right.
do.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, it's because I was speaking to Francisco, who is Grundislav and who's with who made Lamplight City and is making Rosewater. That he does everything too except for the music. And I asked him, well, how do you feel about like leaving the music to somebody else? And he said that he actually really likes it because it almost like infuses something new into the project that's not just completely something that you've created yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel that too, because like with Dan on the project, I have ideas of how I want the music to sound, but I have no idea what it's actually going to sound like. And having him come in and me giving him all this information about what I want and him coming up with something that I would never would have expected is just it's super encouraging to have that type of like work collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I
really
can
nice
imagine
to
it's very rewarding to see that happen too.
yeah, and just streaming as well. Like that was even the idea of streaming was Dan's idea because when COVID and all that stuff happened, like Dan is a touring musician a lot of the year, and so when COVID happened, like none of that was happening, and
Oh
so
yeah,
he said,
everybody was stuck. So
yeah, we're all told just stuck, and yeah, and so he said, why don't we do streaming? And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Like I never thought I'd want to or feel comfortable or even like enjoy doing it. But Dan is super self-motivated, and so we said, okay, we'll give it a try. And we ended up like we've been streaming maybe it's been like a couple year, a year and a half. I have no idea now. Time just has flown
sometime by
by.
since 2020 at least.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but yeah, it's been really wonderful to have that aspect as well.
Well, I've lived absolutely lived my life by that my thought of don't just talk about doing stuff, just do it. If you ever thought about doing something, just do it. Where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I had a talk show where I like talk to people who make games. I'm like, well, I'll just do it. I don't care if
Yeah.
just do it. And well, I
Yeah.
want to make a game. Well, then start learning. You know what I mean? Just go do it.
Yeah, that's and that's another thing about, when you're a solo game developer and there's so many different hats you have to wear, and like, yes, some things I'm more comfortable with than others. Like I came from an arts background. I kind of self-taught myself all the programming stuff. Fortunately, Adventure Game Studio is pretty easy to use. But yeah, there's sometimes where most of the times when game developers are like, okay, well, I can't do art or I can't do the programming or whatever, and they kind of let that stop them. And it's really inspiring to have people say, yeah, I'll just make it anyway.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. Like I'll figure out the art or I'll figure out the programming and I'll learn as I go. And it's that's actually why Francisco is such an inspiration for me because when he started making his games, he started non-commercially. He made like 8 or 9 non-commercial games.
Oh yeah,
And
that's yeah. You just kind of keep going.
yeah, he just kept going and his art, like he self-taught himself everything. The art in his first games were pretty basic and he's just like gotten better and better over the years. And he didn't let the fact that his art was kind of weaker when he started stop him at all. Like he said,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just gonna
same
make a
thing
thing,
here.
right?
Like I am an artist, but like when I
Mhm.
made my first game, I didn't care about making it look meticulous. I was just like, whatever. I just want to like get a game done and see
Yeah.
how it goes.
That kind of that attitude I think is super valuable because no one's ever gonna like be perfect at everything.
Yeah,
So
and I only
it's
made it
all
for
a
like
work
my
in
friends to
progress.
play. So it's like, but
Yeah.
then it became something later. So 13 years later or whatever, it's like what?
No, I do love hearing that. I love hearing that over the years you just you keep doing it. You just
Mhm.
keep doing it and keep doing it,
And,
right?
and now I'd like to say the one I'm making now is like the technical culmination of all the stuff I've learned over the past several years. So that's good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a process.
Do you what'd you say? You're saying something about inspiring or when somebody's and it made me remember something someone said. It sounded like an not an insult. It was almost like a backhanded compliment, but I took it as nothing but good. Where somebody was like, "I, yeah, the art isn't very good, but like it gives me the courage to make my own stuff because I could see that a game can be fun without the art being amazing in it." So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. I was like, it's a compliment, a little backhanded, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I think, and that's the funny thing about inspiration. There's like a sweet spot for me that I've discovered in terms of anything that I'm looking at creatively. I mean, if there's something that's so amazing, completely blows me away, it doesn't necessarily, like, I like it and I'm glad that it's in the world and I admire it, but it doesn't necessarily inspire me because I can't relate to it.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't,
also like there's always people so much better than you. It doesn't matter. So
exactly,
put out what's
exactly.
yours. Only you
Yeah.
can make your stuff.
So if there's something I look at that's like a bit better than I think I can do, then that becomes aspirational. Where I'm like, that's something I could hopefully stretch to achieve one day. And that's the
Well,
stuff that is. And then all on the flip side, yeah, people who, yeah, the art is not great, but like, yeah, it's a thing and it works and it serves a purpose, right? It like
and
it
it's
conveys
a thing that
information.
only that person can make.
Exactly, it's
My
totally unique.
fallback thing, always, my fallback example is Last Half of Darkness.
Yes.
Because I'm like, that guy, he didn't. I know he was probably trying. The art's not amazing, but like it sure did get the job done, and it sure was memorable.
And it was scary. And I think I'm not sure if that's how. Did you come watch any of my stream of that? Because I did
Yes.
Let's
No,
Play.
I didn't
Yes.
see. I saw that you
Okay.
did stream it, and I mentioned that.
Yes.
I was like, that's one of my inspirations. Is Last Half of
Yes.
Darkness.
Well, and as well, like Hugo's House of Horrors, which was
Yes.
another like really
Crude art
popular.
is
Yeah.
scarier than detailed art to me.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Absolutely. And the fact that, I don't know how big the team was for Last Half of Darkness. I don't imagine it was very
One
big.
guy.
Oh my, and so same with Hugo's House of Horrors. I was like one guy did everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like that's what inspires me when I see that because he made something that is a whole experience. It's a story from beginning to end, and you play it, and fine. It might not have the most refined art, but it conveys that information. And I think that philosophy is something that I wish people would appreciate more because it's not an idea of how good it looks or how representational it looks. Is it performing the function
That's
that you
that's
need
the
it
that's
to
the what
perform?
I've found is that people are receptive to that. Like that's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. Like I get a lot of
Absolutely.
compliments like that. They're like it totally gets across what it's supposed to, and I really like it has a cool like unique style, and I like that.
Yeah, yeah, and when I think if people function more on people focus more on the function of what the graphics are trying to convey that information, then maybe they wouldn't get as intimidated or tied up of, oh, my art's not good.
Well,
Well,
that's
it's not a
also
matter of
like
that.
some of the basis of like you doing the EGA style. It's like there's
Hmm.
limitations, and working
Hmm.
around those makes it more interesting and fun.
Yeah, in fact, I did a talk. I think it might be on my YouTube channel of people being intimidated by art and how you can make it like kind of less intimidating for yourself. And one of those things is, yeah, have a limited color palette that you're working with. So
I
you
love
don't have,
when you were drawing. I'm like, oh man, she just has to grab one of those 16 colors, and that's
yes,
it.
yeah, that's all you get. And so, and if that's too much, like limit it even more. Like have like a 6 color
Yeah,
palette that you're working with or something. And then also with like low resolution graphics is like, yeah, make it low resolution so you have less detail that you need to play with and just focus on, yeah, is this going to convey the information that I needed to convey?
and it's perfect if it
Simplified.
does.
Yeah.
And the like watching you draw, that's one of those examples of like looking at somebody who's like, I was like, man, is she meticulous and detailed? I was like, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would, I'm not that. You're impatient though, aren't you?
I can be. I can
I
be.
thought you said, well, in
Um,
terms of playing games, at least you're impatient,
yeah,
right?
I can. Well, in playing games, but also, yeah, like learning new things because um, that stuff takes a lot more energy and time. I worked on a project for a friend of mine where I had to learn how to use completely new tools. I learned how to use Blender and model things in 3D, and then
I saw
spit them
that.
out.
Yeah,
Yes, spit them out as 2D files, and then paint over them in another program. And that stuff was extremely time intensive, labor
hmm
intensive, exhausting to do because it was not my wheelhouse whatsoever.
but
But
anything you draw, I notice you have a very big attention to detail, which I like.
oh yeah, it almost becomes soothing. It almost becomes meditative to have that attention to detail.
And like I
Um,
watch you, and you're like, "Oh, this spoon's shadow is I don't quite." And you like go over it again, and then you're like, "I don't know if I like the angle of this." And I was just like, I would have already just like skimmed over it and been like, "I'm done," because I'm just lazy. But like that attention to detail is what's admirable. That's what drew me to your work.
oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
hmm And like
It's
the dithering obviously is like one of the first things I'm like, that looks perfect. I'm like, she got it exactly down, like the color choices and stuff used.
that's another thing about that kind of low res, like low color count art is I so respect and appreciate when people have yeah like they limit their tools and they can achieve like really cool effects with that smaller tool set. I actually admire that more than you can do anything you want under the sun.
Yeah, I
Um,
love limitations.
and that's what excited me so much about working on with the Playdate is because the Playdate has got this what, I think 240 by 400 pixel resolution,
One
black
bit.
and white,
Yep.
just black and white.
But you can the
That
dithering works there too, doesn't it?
yeah, dithering works there beautiful. It's gorgeous for dithering. The screen is really nice and sharp. But I was so excited to just work in black and white, just like with Space Warlord Organ Trading
Yep.
Simulator. I was so excited to work in just green and black. And just the portraits of that are like 50 pixels by 50 pixels. They're pretty small. And the little there are these little like organs like eyes and brains and
Uh
lungs and
huh.
things like that in that game, like little inventory items that are I think are 25 by 25 pixels, pretty small.
That's tiny. Yeah.
But yeah, like working in that type of really tight constraints and still being able to get a sense of like light and shadow and different material surfaces and everything. It's like the thing I get so excited about.
It's almost like a
That's what
puzzle in
excites
and
me
of
the most.
itself.
Oh,
It's like, all right,
absolutely.
I got this space. I need to
Yeah.
make this look like this. And it's like I can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, and yeah, the limitations for me are just so liberating because I'm one of those people who gets paralyzed by choice.
What one of the things, one of your backgrounds that struck me, I was looking at, I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. Where there was like light coming in the window, but then behind it you could still see the shadow of or the surface of the wood, but it's in black, but it's dithered to look like it's still the shading. I was like, I don't
Right.
know, it was like in the room
I
during
love
like
stuff
when the
like that.
guy's talking at dinner. I think behind him is a nice looking like table in the light,
Oh,
and it
sure.
looks cool.
I love the illusion that can be created with yeah with the 16 colors. It's
Uh-huh.
just that this idea of light and shadow which does not exist. This illusion of having something be translucent.
Yeah,
Anything like that, it's just
it's
complete
cool.
illusion. And what's great about EGA art and why I think I liked it more than VGA art is it's perfectly sharp. It's like it was vector based
Oh yeah.
in the Sierra days, and so you can see exactly where every single pixel is, and it kind of makes it feel like it's so much easier to analyze that versus the VGA, especially like in the early days of VGA when it was kind of low resolution and kind of mushy looking. Um, they would take like painted backgrounds and scan them in and like down res them, and so they looked kind of fuzzy and out of focus.
Yeah, a
It's
little
harder.
blurry.
yeah, it's harder for me to to dissect what that is versus, okay, well, here's someone who's used a really cool dithering pattern to create an effect, and I can see the pattern and I can see the effect at the same time.
Yep, and like the color combos, what sort of color you get out of distance from those two,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's just a very interesting way to do it. And it's
Yeah.
sometimes is it hard to like do a face without making someone look like they have a beard or like weird like scraggles on their face or something? You know what I'm talking about with the
It
dithering and the color limitations. Is it
right.
sometimes do you ever take a step back and be like, okay, that face looks a little weird. Let me fix that.
It depends on, yeah, like how big. If it's a close-up of a person's face, well, the thing is, I usually tend to avoid dithering if it's something that's going to be animated.
Yeah,
Although
because that makes it complicated to move each dot and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I do break that rule a few times, but generally in like the up close views of things, I don't tend to use a lot of dithering because I kind of just hopefully let the line and the shape kind of speak for itself. So I don't have a lot of examples of like the up close and like to have like shading on a face, for instance. I don't usually tend to shade faces with dithering. Although I've seen like in Secret of Monkey Island, there's some really gorgeous examples of
Yeah.
that with
Well, then
close up
again,
pattern
like
faces.
for somebody like Miss Maple, like you want her face to look as simple as possible, so she doesn't look old or weird.
Yeah,
The less
yeah, yeah.
detail, the better when it comes to a face,
Yeah.
anyway.
I've kept it pretty simple and yeah, especially if like for sprites and things like that. Like
Yes.
everything is pretty simple because it just helps the animation be like easier to
And
execute.
over the years, I've learned like the more lines you put on a face, the uglier it starts getting.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta keep it simple if you want somebody to look normal.
Well, it's funny because, in actual when you draw with with paper and pencil, it's actually easier to draw an older face than a younger
Yes.
face. Because there's more detail you can work from. When you just have a completely lineless face, it's extremely challenging to make that look real.
Yep, and or non creepy or something like
Or yeah,
it's
or
weird.
non like a doll or something. Yes. But with
um,
the resolution that we're using here, color palette, it's not a problem, which is
Let me see.
wonderful.
This is I'm gonna post a thing on. Let's see if that goes up there. There you go. That's on Discord.
Ah,
That
yes.
is the last half of Darkness 3. So he still uses the blue, but like look at the little lights. I like simple lighting.
Yes.
Something about shadows in simple scenes really grabs my attention when I see just like, oh, just a quick line behind a tree or something, it just makes
Hmm.
it look more lived in and more homey. I love that style. Simple drawings but like nice lighting.
Yeah, those touches are perfect. And looking at this art, he's achieving what he needs to achieve. Like we know like where the path leads, and we know the location, and we know the setting.
Yeah. And
And you can look at this. Yeah, it's perfect.
the remember how the first game was like entirely blue?
Yes.
That never left me. When I even in my game when I try to make something that's a dark room, I still make it blue because of that. Because I'm like that's so iconic. I love that look.
Oh, I love it too. And also like nighttime and The Secret of Monkey Island uses a lot of that as well. And
Yep.
it's so wonderful to me.
And just like
I have that
tiny
same
white
attachment.
dots in the sky, just to for
Yep.
a hint of like the stars that are up there and stuff like that. It looks nice.
Absolutely.
And what inspirations do you have? Who's like your heroes?
Ooh. Okay, well, we were mentioning Lucas Pope earlier.
Uh huh.
Lucas Pope would definitely be a hero of mine because he also does the music for his games.
Yes.
He does everything, and he's like great at everything. So he's really good at, creating the tools and creating like complete, whatever kind of game engine, figuring out how the art's going to render and everything. He's super, super technical, but also he's really good at the in-game storytelling. He's good at the graphics. The music is great. Like to me, he's like a super well-rounded, like
Jack of all
he can
trades.
exactly, jack of all trades, master of all. So I'm a super big admirer of his. I'm also a super huge admirer of those adventure game artists in Sierra and LucasArts back in those days, because they were working with severe technological limitations.
Was
To
was Roberta Williams like the original? Did she
well,
make like the first King's Quest?
she made some earlier stuff even before that. She made something
Okay.
called Mystery House that's now like a public domain game with her husband Ken Williams. Made that together, and the graphics were pretty simple. But yeah, like that type of a thing where you have someone who's really blazing a trail in terms of what a game can look like and what a game can be, what it can do. That she's yeah obviously yeah Roberta Williams is a big hero of mine for game dev. Yeah, and just those artists back in the day who had to basically invent the tools that they were then going to use, which is something that is it requires both that deep technical knowledge and a vast artistic knowledge to apply those new tools to something that looks like, it looks like they've been doing that stuff for
Oh
ages
yeah,
and they
and
were
it's cool that they
inventing it as they
shared the
went.
tools too eventually,
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
so that
Um,
anybody can get in on it.
Yeah, and my hats off to those like Douglas Herring who did the art for the Colonel's Bequest, and of course you mentioned Steve Purcell, Peter Chan who did a lot of concept work on the LucasArts stuff later on. Um, it's kind of like they it's I've heard on a couple I think both Mark Ferrari and Doug Herring they both have said they don't like the EGA palette, they never did, but it was all that they could, that all that was available to them.
Hey, it
And
beats
so
CGA.
well, exactly. But as a kid, we don't think about, oh my gosh, like these guys are classically trained artists, and now they have to be shoehorned into this like small palette, and they don't like it because they feel like it's not doing what they want it to do. We're just seeing gorgeous art, and so for pixel artists nowadays, we don't need to necessarily create art of limited color palettes because we have as vast amounts of space. We don't have to fit everything on 9 floppies in a box
Yeah, you
anymore.
don't have to worry about it.
But the fact that pixel art persists and limited palette pixel art persists is because there is something there that is beyond the fact that it had to be a technical limitation. Like there's an aesthetic there that still resonates with people. Younger people who have never grew up with this stuff, like love pixel art, and I follow so many amazing pixel artists on Twitter. But even people, like who are from our generation who have that nostalgia. Like it's special for everybody, and so I really do think there's something in that medium.
I'm curious if like that'll continue. Like once people our age are just like beyond the playing games phase when we're like 90 or dead, like are kids going to still move this stuff forward? I wonder.
I really hope so. I
Me
and
too.
and I think one of the reasons I think it's going to be around is because yeah, well, like when you think about indie games and stuff that is done by one person or someone who's exploring or self-taught as an artist, like in comparison to triple A games that you require like a team of full-time experts on sculpting and lighting and textures and everything. It's completely out of the realm of possibility for us for a small team or a solo person to achieve that type of effect.
At the
But
same
what's great.
time, it's one of those things where it's like that's what we grew up with,
Mhm.
and that's why we have such a fondness for it. And I've noticed, have you noticed lately, the kids who grew up and are like 30 now and being game devs, they're making PlayStation era style stuff. So it's all that crude 3D stuff now is the big craze in indie scene. I've noticed.
And I love it because yeah, it's now with the like at the time that stuff was cutting edge, just like back in our day, EGA was cutting edge. But it's not. It's just a style that they enjoy that is now become so easy to do with the tools available that you can do that with that type of a style with
Yep.
small teams and achieve like wonderful things, wonderful creative
So
things.
then, like in 10 more years, are the kids then going to be like, "Oh, I'm making like Wii style games," you know? So is that the cycle? I don't know.
Well, what's wonderful about yeah, we mentioned before what's wonderful about PC games is that they just stick around,
Yep.
right? And so like I think everything just gets added on and added on and added on, and so people are going to return to the Wii style possibly, but there's still going to be pixel artists, and I think that's also going to stick around for
I hope
quite some
so at
time.
least. Oh yeah, pixel art isn't going anywhere, but I'm talking
No,
like specifically
yeah,
like EGA
D-
or like old school PlayStation stuff. You know,
oh yeah,
I don't know if those are going to stick around or not, but probably.
yeah. I'd like to think so too, because as we mentioned, games are not just the graphics. The games are like they're a full package, and so if the graphics are perfect as a PlayStation era type of graphic for the game that is being created, then there's no reason why that can't be compelling for people and for people to find that appeal. It's not like with a movie where it's you have basically everything kind of has to be kind of like, oh, it has to like be sharp and has to be in full color. Like we don't have that limitation in games. It
No.
could look like anything.
Well, like, how about what's your Do you play things these days? I mean,
Not
besides
as much as I
streaming,
should.
do you play
Yeah.
anything recent?
Not as much as I should, honestly, and that's one of the reasons that I started to like do Let's Plays on my streams is because I was thinking there are so many games I've not played. And so but
Yeah,
for me it's going back to the older games I've never played. So yeah, Personal Nightmare I'd never played, Last Half of
that's
Darkness. I
rough.
had the disc. Oh my goodness, it is I did you ever play it?
I know what it is. I've never played it personally, but I've
Oh,
seen it played all the way through.
oh my gosh, so
That's one of
painful.
those things where you can miss something because of the time of day. Is that one?
Yes, yes.
Blech.
It's really fascinating though, actually. Like the engine was super complicated and really amazing for the time. But I totally respect it and the
Isn't
art's
like
really good as
the
well.
conversation parser really weird and cool?
They do have a parser, it's pretty limited, but I love the fact that it's in there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
like it seems like it would be beyond that point when that came out of like
Yeah,
text parsing.
it's a weird blend of like that kind of a throwback versus it's almost like a Bethesda game where people have schedules. So like at different times of the day, people are like leaving their houses, coming
Yeah, that's
back, they
right.
go
That's a
home
big
at
part of the
night, they
puzzles,
lock the
isn't
door.
it?
It's amazing. That was 1989. But yeah, so I love to play like I've been playing the just like going back and playing the stuff I never really got around to playing with the old stuff, but I do feel like I should be playing newer stuff too because there's so much good out there. There's so much in the in indies that are amazing too. So I have like everyone else like backlogs of games
Yeah.
on GOG and on Steam that I should work through and I just never give myself the time to do it, but I really should because it is like research and finding out really what's out there and
Well, you
seeing
are
what's
playing stuff,
possible.
so that's fun.
Yeah, but it is older stuff where, nowadays we can look at some of that stuff and say, well, the design of this is bulk is clunky and, they could have been this could have been streamlined or these weird decisions that kind of make the games tougher to play. But at the time, they're still learning those lessons
Well, I
and
mean,
kind of blazing that trail.
all I've been playing is like NES anyway, so I guess I can't say I'm any different. So it's like that's just what I want to play on the channel. It's just like old. Well, plus I'm trying to do it for the channel, beat them all.
It's I think it is though a good way to learn or just relearn and appreciate the game design now. So I mean, as you're designing your own stuff, you can say, well, yeah, I mean, I played these games and here are things that I need to make sure that I keep in mind because those decisions were made in a certain way in those older games, but there's no reason why I can't improve upon that.
Is there any what's the hardest thing about making your game? What are some roadblocks that you had in the process?
Right. The biggest roadblocks in the process have been the coding, like programming and stuff. So there have been times where I've come upon like certain limitations in AGS that can be kind of circumvented if you are smart about it. And so that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful to the Adventure Game Studio forums
Yeah, I was gonna say, do
because
you ever look through forums and be like, hey, like just look for a similar problem?
yeah, either I'm looking for a similar problem first, and then if I'm having even more difficulty, then I occasionally, very rarely, will post in the forum, and usually, yeah, get a bunch of really super helpful approaches that I can try, and eventually come upon something that will help. So yeah, the programming, there have been times where I'm like, well, I'm up against this limitation of the engine and need a way around it, and I couldn't have gotten this far without the help of the community.
Yeah, forums are super, and like tutorial
Mhm.
videos too. Do you ever watch those?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a wonderful, yeah, a 40 part tutorial series by someone called Densming on YouTube, which I think is still there. So yeah, the first very basic parts of just creating a game were covered like in detail by him, and I'm yeah super grateful. And that's one of the advantages to using Adventure Game Studio is yeah, it still has a community that's very active, super helpful, and yeah, and the engine is still being supported.
Do you ever like go to watch? You're like, oh, cool. There's a tutorial about exactly what I want to see online, and it's just like music playing while they type out words on this. I'm like, oh, never mind. Like, I just don't want to read.
Usually the ones I managed to find do have a commentary, but it's funny you mentioned that because I was really stuck in a part in Personal Nightmare, and there was a couple playthroughs I had to combine to watch to figure out what I needed to do because I had a couple walkthroughs, but they weren't specific about what I needed to do in
Yeah,
a certain
you'd have to
section.
see it.
So yeah, I found something on YouTube where one guy was playing like a completely different version but had commentary, and then there was one where it was my version but there was no commentary, so I had no idea what was happening.
Just look back
Um,
and forth at them.
yeah, so actually what I did on my channel was I made like a video with commentary of this like just a 3 minute video for Personal Nightmare of a particular part in the game where you need to get a taxi to crash. And so I just put that up just for the benefit of anyone else who's going to need this information in the future.
Is Personal Nightmare the one that's like there's like a church and then like flames and then a big ugly stupid like devil is in the church
Yes.
during the intro?
Yes.
And that shows like a guy's face like looking like
Yes.
on the cover or something like okay, so I do know which one exactly that. I could picture the game, but I couldn't remember like which story that was. It was like the one where there's a church at
Yes.
the beginning. Yeah.
It's actually like yeah like the best part is the art. There's certain the game design is can be pretty painful in some places where there'll be like a room but it won't show like a certain very important thing that you need to know about the room, like graphically it won't be there.
I think
That
that
type
one
of a
had an
thing.
awful inventory system too. Is that the one with the
Yes.
bat?
I was about to bring that up. It's an extremely awkward inventory system. It's very limited. It's punishing. You can put stuff inside pockets inside a coat that you're
Yeah, so it's
carrying.
like, oh, and then you got to open that, then open that. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then you end up juggling stuff and just dropping stuff in the street, and yeah,
Let me
it's
just put this banana down so I can pick this book up real quick.
yeah, or like there's something inside a room that there's like five objects in the room that you need, but you only have three slots, so you have to
Ugh.
like step outside of the room and dump some stuff and come back into the room,
I
pick
mean,
some stuff
it
up.
all makes
Yeah.
sense within the game world, though. I guess it's limitations, but yeah, annoying inventory is annoying, no matter how much you
But
slice it.
yeah, I did respect though that you had like pajamas that you could put on before you go to bed. It didn't do anything, but you could do that if you wanted. And you had your shoes as an inventory item, which you don't really see that much because
No,
you
I don't consider myself carrying my shoes when I go
no
out.
no, but they'd be. It's just amazing.
Yeah,
It's one of
the
those
fact
things
that
where
it's on your person, I guess, makes
yeah
sense.
yeah everything. It's literally everything.
But like, yeah, like you would think like, oh, is the underwear showing on there, or the wristwatch, the
Well,
change
that's
in
the
the
thing. Yeah,
pocket, like.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some games. It's funny because there's another game called Dreamweb that I've seen that's kind of a top-down adventure game that I never really played, but they also have a similarly over-the-top approach to inventory, where you can almost pick up just about everything in the game and almost for no reason, which
It's
I
just
kind of like. But I can understand from a game design perspective why people don't encourage that. But
that
it's
can get
just
tedious when you have so many choices for puzzles
yeah.
that you don't know where to begin.
Yeah, and also there are games that will like have you lose all the useless inventory items at a certain part of the
That's
game,
nice when
which
they do that.
it's some I do appreciate it from a game design perspective, but I kind of do feel like I've been robbed when that
You're like, oh,
happens
where's all
because I
my
want my
stuff?
stuff. Yeah, exactly. I just want my stuff.
And it's like, who are you to tell me what I don't need? Or it's like, I dropped all the stuff I'm not going to need. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's almost like they're souvenirs of the game. Like I like the graphical inventory system of like going back and like looking at my
You're
inventory
like, ah,
items.
I got this key 20 minutes ago or
Yeah,
20
like
days ago
remember
or whatever.
when? Yeah, I used that stick of chewing gum for what? Yeah, I just like seeing this stuff, and so in the Crimson Diamond, I have a graphical inventory system. Like they
Yeah,
would
I've seen
they
that.
had in like later Sierra games had that, but not the EGA ones. But I did it because I just liked to see the
Well, yeah, it's a
graphics.
little anachronistic, but it's like it's a convenience.
Yeah, yeah, and so I actually have two options. Like I have for people who want it, like
Oh
just
yeah,
a
I saw
list
you
of
could just do
yeah.
text
You
inventory.
can just do text, although it's a bit of an improved text inventory system because you can like scroll down the inventory list and then press L to look at it and press E to examine
How
if you
dare you
want.
improve things?
I'm so sorry.
What do you are you like a dork? Are you a nerd
Oh,
in
very
real
much,
life?
absolutely. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. My goodness, yeah,
You big old
yeah.
loser. I'm a loser. But like,
Oh
do
no,
you
no,
No, go ahead.
it's not. Oh, I don't say loser.
No,
That's
no, I
definitely
just
not
mean
fair.
like just a geek.
Oh yeah, yeah, super nerdy. Like I've heard other people would do this. Like I would, take my tape recorder and put it up to the computer so I could like record the music on the computer and like
Oh, I
listen to
used
it
to
on my
do that to things
Walkman.
when I was a kid too, yeah, because
Oh
there was
yeah,
no
yeah,
other
stuff
way.
like that.
But do you have what's your space look like right now? Is it nerdy? Do you have a lot of gaming stuff around you?
You know what?
Or is it very normal?
I don't have a lot of gaming stuff around me, but I have tons of books of
I
all
I know you
kinds.
like books, yeah.
Yeah, so I do like one of my channel point redemption on my stream is to show a book. There's no shortage of books in and around me, just of like all my interests. Like yeah, the rock thing. I've always loved rocks. I've always loved collecting them, and
Oh, yeah,
so
I saw
because
Captain Buttface Boy like a day or two
yes,
ago. That's right. I
yeah,
forget what it's called.
Oshiri
Oh, shit!
Tante.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Japanese bum faced boy who solves crime. And it's a really nice looking book. There's an anime of that as well. You could find the trailer on YouTube, and I totally recommend it. It's bizarre, but they play it pretty straight, I
There,
would
there's my
say.
there's my game room right now. There's a lot of junk in
Oh,
there.
hold on, I gotta look here. Yeah,
Yep.
I mostly have like books. I don't have a lot of computer stuff because haven't been gaming very much.
Yeah,
Oh wow, that looks really
it's
cool.
cozy. I'll say that.
Super, yeah, super amazing. Yeah, I just yeah, I don't really have consoles, so it's all packed into
Yeah, you
my
don't
hard drive.
strike me as somebody who has consoles. Just the
No,
way you're talking, I can tell you're into the adventure, the thought games, the puzzly things, right? The
yeah, board
stories.
games as well. Like I love board games, like mystery books, sci-fi. I like a lot of that stuff, and so I try to like not buy and collect stuff so much because
That's a
there's
problem
only
with me.
that's yeah I can't, that's a problem for a lot of people. I mean I can't say that I haven't been adding to my rock collection, especially since I've been making the Crimson Diamond because I'm like, oh, it's it's
Well, I
research
mean, I
or
wouldn't say it's a
something.
problem. It's what it's I pay my bills. It's not like I'm cutting into my it's cutting into
Well,
my
yeah,
money.
and that's the thing, right? Until it interferes with like your lifestyle, then it's not a problem,
No,
is
my
it?
lifestyle is work, game dev,
Hmm.
streaming, YouTube. YouTube is like my second job,
Hmm.
and hang out with my daughter and
Hmm.
eat. That's like and sleep. There you go. That's my life.
It's a perfect life.
Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's see what you stream. Do you only
Hmm.
stream? You stream one day a week, correct?
Hmm. Hmm.
Tuesdays.
Yes, Crimson Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yes, I'm at A_Maple
Yeah.
Mystery.
Well, you didn't last week.
Yeah. I'm pretty good. I've maybe missed like 3 or 4 times since we started like a year and a half ago or so.
Do you
Yeah,
like having like a set schedule for that?
I do. I really do. It's something I do look forward to it. It's like my social outlet. I don't really get out a heck of a lot because I work from home and I tend to be pretty introverted, so I don't get out so much. But yeah, it's definitely a social outlet for me, and it's really nice to hang out and chat with people and get a little bit of work done.
Which is
And
nice. Yeah. I'm around
yeah,
people
yeah.
all day, so when I come home, just I'm like myself time.
How often do you stream?
When I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a schedule. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, do you like the scheduled life? And yes, that works for you, right?
Yeah, I think it works for me. It also like people know when to expect you, which is kind of nice too. So,
Yeah. Mine's like, I ate. I don't have anything to do for a few hours. I think I'll play some Nintendo. It's like I'll just hit the record button and start playing. Just beat a game or
mhm.
something, play something. That's my streaming. Maybe
Yeah,
when I'm done with my current project, I'll probably stream a little more, like 2 or 3 times a week, maybe four.
yeah, I definitely know that some streamers like have a more irregular schedule. Like I know when you're talking to Hungry Gloria, she like streams 4 times a week or
Yeah,
something.
that's her main like thing is
That's
streaming.
amazing.
Mine is
Yeah.
like it's such a side hobby that I just can't do
Hmm.
it that much until I'm done with some of my other stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, me too. I'm totally the same in the same boat as you because yeah, I'm working on so much stuff at once and
But
I
yours is
don't
cool
have
because you
time
get to
to.
work on it on your stream.
This is true, but it's pretty distracting because I'm trying to like keep up with chat and talk and stuff like that. But yeah, I do get a bit of work done. But yeah, I can't imagine myself streaming any more than I do right now
Yeah.
because just of like yeah, there's so much stuff to do,
Oh
really.
god, yeah, I don't feel bad, but like I watch when you're streaming, I'm like, she's so nice and like gets to every single person's comment. It's like she's not getting any work done. I feel bad, but I'm like, but she knows what she's doing. She's streaming. You know that you're not going to get that much work done while you're streaming, right?
Yeah, I mean it's mostly, it's not like the primary goal of the stream is not to get the work done. It's like to hang out and like get a bit of work done as a bonus.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm always like, oh my god, is she friendly? I like ignore half the things that get thrown in there. Not ignore, but you kind of glance at them and they just keep going.
Well, some streamers it's just like the thing is just going up too fast,
Oh, I
It's
would.
just
Yeah,
like
I would get nuts, like feeling like I'm missing everything being
yeah,
said. That's why I'm glad I'm a
yeah.
nobody.
Well, I'm really glad too that I've got like this little tiny channel and I get to chat to people. It's manageable and everything. Yeah,
Well,
I can't imagine.
you
What's
have a
that?
ton of Twitch or Twitter followers, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know if how many of those like translate to being my Twitch people. I don't actually tweet that much. Like I'm not super busy on that
Me
either because
neither.
I just yeah, I can't really commit the time to do it. But
Isn't
it's just
isn't
like when I'm streaming, I'll tweet something or
isn't
whatever.
that the weirdest thing though? Like you have all these people who follow you, but like they don't really blend from one thing to the next. Because like I'm the a huge like thing of that for me. I'm like, wow, I've got 50,000
Yeah.
subscribers, but only 500 people have watched one of these videos. I'm like, all right, so I guess they don't always watch everything. It's
Yeah,
so
it
weird.
doesn't really cross over so much in a lot of in as much as you might expect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, how long have you been doing YouTube? Because that isn't like a lot
16
of stuff.
years.
Yikes, that's so long.
No, 13. I'm sorry. It was like 2006. So
Oh
wait,
my
yeah,
goodness.
2006 is what? 16 years?
Oh no, it isn't. No way.
15.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it's bad. But I mean, I didn't actually start YouTubing for money until 2019.
Oh wow.
That's when
Okay.
that's when my channel got monetized. It took 13 years for it to like become popular. I had 60 subs up until 2019. Then it jumped up to like 40,000, fifty
Yeah, how
thousand.
did that happen?
It's just made something that just got big, I guess.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Don't pay too much attention to my channel. It's hard to explain to people. It's like a big mishmash of garbage. But yeah, this is one of my shows. A long time ago, I did a talk show called Talk Ninja that didn't really take off, but I
Mhm.
interviewed people in a ninja suit.
Oh wow, cool.
Stupid. But yeah, now I basically just post like updates about my games and
Mhm.
the stuff, this kind of stuff for fun.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I do too. Honestly, I like yeah, Twitter. I mostly I like it because yeah, I can make connections with other game dev folks. Because I think game dev people are mostly like Twitter for the most part.
Yes, and I've
Um,
realized that like who you know is super important. So actually, I like doing these because I get to meet new people too.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah, I've done a few times guests on my stream as well, and I think I want to do that more. But yeah, it's nice to have these like little places that I can be in. It none of them take too much time to manage. Like
No,
we're doing this call on Discord, but I actually don't have my own Discord channel because I just the idea of doing that like community management where
yeah, it
there's
sounds like a
lists,
pain
it's
in the
like
butt.
it's too much of a time commitment for me. What I like about Twitch is that yeah, I'm on Twitch, I chat, and then when I'm off of it, it's gone.
Yep, it's not something you do not have to think about unless you're on it.
Yeah, yeah, and same with Twitter. Like Twitter is fine too for that because I'm just like I tweet something and then that's it.
It's like bye. I only have like 190 followers on Twitter. I'm pretty new. I don't know anything about it.
How long have you been on it?
I don't know, 2 years.
Yeah, it takes a while. Just like
Yeah,
with the YouTube, it takes a
and
while and stuff.
I'm not active on it. I just like post pictures of my cat and like some screenshots. That's about it.
Well, Twitter loves cats. Like
Yeah, it
internet loves
does.
cats.
Oh,
So.
everybody loves my cat. He's so adorable.
Oh,
He's a little butthead.
is
But
that big bed thing beside the couches the cat bed?
oh, let me go to Discord. Oh, yeah, there's like a circle thing.
Yeah,
Yes, he sleeps on that.
that's huge.
It's not. It's a weird like fisheye lens looking
Okay,
picture. No, it's just a little
okay.
end table, and he sleeps on top of that.
Oh,
Yeah, he is a character and a half.
oh, that's great though.
Wait, where's a good doink?
Oh, yes, cat pictures, cat pictures.
I want to
Okay.
bring one up because I think it's on there. I guess not. Oh yeah, here's one. Copy, paste. Here's Bixby. There's him in his little bed next to me.
Oh,
So that's like a side view when you're sitting at the TV playing. He's right there usually.
oh, so comfy.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm super allergic to cats. But like I rescued him and I
Oh,
uh there's like food you can give them that slowly changes the chemical makeup of their saliva, which is what makes you allergic.
no
Yeah,
way.
and so like
I've
over the
never heard
course
of
of a
that.
couple of months, I'm no longer allergic to him anymore.
That's magical. I've never ever
Yeah,
heard of
it's like
that.
because they always say like actually their hair is not what you're allergic to; it's their saliva, and cats lick themselves all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, you
Yeah.
change that and then wash them and stuff, and yeah, all good. He sleeps in my bed now. He's no problems.
Oh,
So yeah, he's like,
that's really wonderful.
oh yeah, he's like my best buddy here. I live by
Mm.
myself, so he's like my best buddy.
Oh, that's awesome. What other social media stuff do you do in terms of like game stuff? Because I don't know.
I
I'm
was
still learning
on,
stuff too.
so I made Cursed in what 2009, something like that. I put it on Yo-Yo Games, which is who makes Game Maker Studio.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, it never really did too much. I also made a game called Carl's Cookie Warehouse, and it became popular in Korea last year for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like this Korean girl streamed it, and like it got a bunch of attention, and I was like, what? But
That's
anyway,
great.
and then I was on Game Jolt and itch.io for many years. Not that many, maybe like 4 or 5 years, and it only had like 600 downloads or something like that. But in 2 months on Steam, I just put them on Steam a couple of months ago, like 2,000.
Amazing.
So I was like, okay, Steam is where I want to be right now. So yeah, I mean, people played it, just not a huge amount, and now I'm getting thousands instead of hundreds. So I'm very
Oh,
happy
that's
about that.
great. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, I don't do anything social media. I am kind of cut off from that whole like thought process. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a matter of, I guess, if you're doing a commercial release, then it's like super important.
But my
Oh.
crap's free.
Yeah, which is what I mean, which is my point. Like if you just want to do it
Yeah,
as a passion project and just share the stuff out and like get, have people discover it and just enjoy that process,
yeah.
then yeah, I mean it's basically like another job. And I don't mind doing it. I actually quite enjoy it. But it's not for everybody, that part of it,
Yeah,
you
you
know.
actually have a job too, right?
Well, I do contract stuff, so I'm like a
Okay, you don't
freelancer.
have to get
Yeah.
too in depth. I was just curious if you work at the same time.
Yeah, I do. I do feel like the stuff with Strange Scaffold and with Sweet Baby, I occasionally do some stuff here and there,
Gotcha.
contract work, and yeah, I pick up stuff here and there. But yeah, I mean, that's what's so good about the fact that yeah, you can just release stuff and enjoy that process,
I've
and
run the Domino's in my town for 10 years.
that's
That's
amazing.
what I do. I'm a manager, so it's been forever, and I
No, that's
drive too.
good. That's no, that's really good because that takes the pressure off,
Yep. So
right?
I deal with like people all day, and it's a lot of
Hmm.
movement and fun, and just kind of I love working there. It's a good time. They pay me
Hmm.
good too. It's over. I mean,
Hmm.
10 years of raises, and then
Amazing.
I come home and I'm just like time to make a game and draw and sit back, whatever.
That's the absolute, that's like ideal, I think, because yeah, like there's not that pressure to like conform to anything. You don't have a publisher to deal with. Like you're just doing exactly what you want to do.
Oh, it like freelance to the nth degree. That's what I do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, but also I'm a nobody because of that. So it's like you got to pick your poison.
There's only so much time in a day,
Yep.
really.
But I do have. There's lots of people who are eagerly awaiting my third game, so I'm so looking forward to finishing it. I assume you're super excited about finishing yours someday too.
Oh my goodness.
Like you
I
just
already
don't you
have,
just want to share it so bad?
oh my goodness. I can't, I'm really looking for, I've got like a list of stuff I want to do after after I do the
I'll
line.
speed run it someday.
Oh my goodness, please do. I'd love to watch
Well, no,
that. That'd be
I don't
fantastic.
speed run really, but I do occasionally. But I do want to. I can't wait to play it all the way through.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I already have like, like sequel ideas. Like I want to make
Oh
one after
wow,
this
talk about
one.
putting the cart before the horse.
Oh, I know, I know.
No,
But
but I did the same thing. Like sometimes an idea pops in your head, and you're like, I can't just let that go. I might have to do that someday.
yeah, and I go, just read stuff, pick stuff up here and there, and just put that in a little, back in your pocket, and like, oh, I'm gonna keep that one. I'm gonna put that in the next one or something.
Do you have
Um,
any things that like inspire you the most, like music or like books or just like things that get your creativity going?
well, I think, well, when I was in London for Adventure X, I went to, they have so many amazing museums in London, and I found that I started getting ideas of what I wanted to do with the next one in museums, and not even just the one in London, but in other like museums all over the place. Just going to like those small town museums. I got a lot of ideas about what I wanted the Crimson Diamond to be like when I visited small
So just like
museums.
real life experiences are things that motivate you.
Yeah, books as well. And so I start to seek out books of particular topics, of course, and just trolling like Wikipedia and the internet and
Well,
stuff, and
don't troll.
Troll, trolling, which is not a weird Canadian accent or anything. Like,
No,
do you hear? Do I have a
I
Canadian
don't hear
accent?
an accent at all for you.
Oh, it's interesting because I know Hungagoria.
No, hers
She's
is pretty heavy.
okay.
Yeah, no, I would never think you were from Canada.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, not like it's one good or bad or anything, but I always
No,
do
yeah, no,
wonder
it's just
how
I
I
don't have any sort of an accent, so you could probably be like, oh, he's just like, you know, Eastern United States somewhere,
person. Yes. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
somewhere.
I
I'm
freaking
probably
love these
vaguely
energy
vaguely in
Oh,
that
drinks.
hold
same.
on,
Let's
who
also
is
get
that?
some
I
butthole
can't
and some
see.
corn dogs, bro.
I don't know who that was. I can't see my stream, so
Oh
thank you
no.
whoever joined. Somebody
I see your
followed.
stream and I don't see I don't have any notification of what just happened either. I'm
That's
just keeping
okay.
kind of an eye on the chat.
It plays an
Um,
obnoxious sound and it shows a dude go across.
oh no, I missed it.
But what were you just saying? Oh, inspirations or
Yeah, yeah. So like yeah, the museums and stuff like and books as well. The internet, of course. Um, But yeah, I mean, if I had to pick out like, in terms of what I was thinking about for the next game, and even for this game, well, here's the thing: is that there's a huge fun period when you're writing when I was writing the story, that was the research period, and the research period is like rabbit holes, and there's rabbit holes everywhere, and you can
Oh
like go
yeah,
down
you
them and
you
go down
just
them and
get
go down them.
lost.
Right, and so there's a point where you have to cut yourself off, and you say, well, I can't do any more research because I can just do this forever because it's really fun, but I need to like start making decisions and start stopping the
Yes,
research.
don't bite
But
off more than you can chew.
right, exactly. So, but what happens is like, yeah, you still pick up like stuff, like interesting facts or like, certain character ideas and stuff, and you're like, well, like that, I'm gonna put that, yeah, like I said, put that in a box for the next one.
Keep it in the back of
And
your mind or write it down somewhere.
yeah, and I'll still like look up stuff like, occasionally here and there on the internet to find like little bits of information. So it's a way for me to continue to minorly do research with some purpose in mind in the future without having to like disrupt what I'm currently developing because
Oh
I'm
yeah.
totally have to be I totally had to put a lock on that stuff at some point.
Speaking of disrupting, do you have any kind of like ADD or just like hard time focusing on your work?
It depends, I think.
I
Sometimes I gotta really lock in, like especially if there's a deadline, and there's nothing worse than I can't really. I'm having trouble concentrating, and/or I'm really tired, and this has to get done, and it's really challenging, and I have to force myself to get it done.
I hate my big thing a lot of times is I notice I waste all it. I'm like I want to put something on in the background while I'm working,
Hmm.
and then I'll spend more time looking for that thing to put on in the background than working. And I'm like, dang it! I like started watching stuff. I gotta put this away.
Yeah, I have to be really careful about that too. If I really, really need to concentrate, like if I'm doing some programming and I'm having to like clean code up or like debug something, I can't listen to like podcasts or watch YouTube or anything. I
Yeah,
have to like listen to some music. So I've got like, playlists of like game soundtracks, like Curse of Monkey Island is a gorgeous soundtrack. I listen to the Dagger of Amon-Ra soundtrack. I listen to the Colonel's Bequest soundtrack. So I can like lock into that tone and that period and also like not get distracted because yeah, there's certain times when I can't watch or listen to stuff. Or if I'm gonna have something on like a second monitor or an iPad or something, it's gonna be something I've watched like a bunch of times and I can
yeah.
kind of
So
just
it's
half
kind of in the
watch.
background.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for me, it's like when I'm drawing backgrounds or like actually fleshing out animations, I can listen to whatever. It doesn't
Yes, me
matter.
too.
But when I
Yes.
am making enemy behaviors or any kind of programming like that, I can't. I can't hear people talking.
No,
Throws me
no,
off.
no. It yeah, completely throws me off too. I can't do it. I can't watch anything I've not watched before.
But
I
yeah,
know it's
like
missing
I don't
thing.
get distracted when I'm drawing.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine when drawing. It's fine, but when it has to be like logic and like
Yes,
structure, like that's the part where I get really
variables and
tripped up.
math and all that stuff.
Yeah, like rewatching like movies on Netflix or something
Yep.
also is good. Like stuff that you've just watched some times before, and yeah, it kind of is almost like relaxing because sometimes like just having it be completely quiet is also maybe not so
Oh
good.
yeah, complete silence sucks. Like I can't do that either.
Yeah,
I got a
yeah,
couple of questions about your dev or not your
yes.
dev, your design and stuff like that. Like, did you run into anything that you're like, I have to cut this because I can't do it, or like you had to drastically change something because you realized it wasn't going to work or something like that.
That's a good question. Let me
You probably kept
think.
it pretty reasonable throughout, right?
I kept it pretty reasonable because I had a pretty clear idea of the scope of what I wanted to make. Although, yeah, like for a first game and a first project, it's too big, and I already know that.
What about not
But
even like things that you had to cut because they wouldn't? What about just features that you're like, I don't need that, or like this is not going to work for what I want? Did you cut anything?
well, the good thing about having extremely rudimentary programming skills is, well, first of all, yeah, I can't include stuff like arcade sequences. I can't like put anything in that requires fancy programming because I just don't know how to do those things.
Do
One
it
of the
anyway,
things,
just to, even if it's horrible, you just throw it in there somehow.
yeah, so everyone should be thankful that I know enough to get this done and do exactly what I want it to be. But yeah, one of the things I want to do when I launch this game is I want to like learn more programming because I want my programming and my code to look less horrifying and inefficient and maybe like do something a little play with the mechanics a little bit more
I
because
always
this is a
hope.
very straight adventure game. It doesn't
Oh
do anything
yeah,
special.
but I always hope nobody ever looks through my coding because it's the
Oh my
worst.
goodness. So one of the reasons I won't do coding, I've done a bit here and there on stream, but I don't do it very much because I'm like, no one should see this.
Yeah, it's off. They'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah.
I'd get nothing but snide remarks from people who know even a tiny bit more than me. But that's fun though, working around what you know.
Yeah. And yeah, just saying, okay, well, this is what I want to achieve, and here's the way to do that. And so it took me a long time to get to that stage. But there was at a certain point in development, I'm like, okay, yeah, all this learning I've been doing, this is it. Like I have all the tools now at my disposal, and that made me feel really good and
Oh
confident
yeah,
that I could actually finish it.
it's
Yeah.
like it's my turn now. I'm gonna make something I want to make.
Yeah, yeah, just within the bounds of what I want, what I want it to be, because I did have a pretty clear idea of what it was going to be, and I know that this game will eventually launch, even though like it's a game that's going to be like a 7 to 10 hour, like which is a kind of standard amount of time for an adventure game, and not a small project by any means.
No, no
Which is
project is small though. Something of
no, well,
that
this is true.
caliber is not
Yeah.
small.
But yeah, I mean, it's too late for me to do that anymore, to do a little project and learn from that.
Yep.
But no, I'm fortunate that it like first of all, adventure games are in terms in versus any other type of game really. I think they're a really good place to start when you're learning how to make games because it's like the actual programming is not that challenging.
Yeah, you don't
It
have to worry about gravity, physics, like any of that stuff.
exactly. Yeah, you don't need to know any math or anything. So it's pretty straightforward in terms of like what I'm programming, and so it's not something that I ever came upon like, oh, I don't know how to do a certain thing that didn't clearly have a very simple answer.
How about any funny or interesting bugs so far that you ran into and laughed at or like thought that was
Oh my goodness.
interesting?
So the demo of the game, which is chapter one of the game,
Uh-huh.
it restricts the player to being just on the inside of the lodge. Like you're not supposed to leave the lodge. Like if you try to leave to any one of the exterior doors, Nancy says, "Oh, it's too dark outside. I don't want to go outside." And part of that is because yeah, I didn't have those parts finished when I originally made the demo, so you couldn't go outside. But then I started, I was building those parts anyway, and so there's some parts of that stuff that did exist. But I programmed it so she couldn't leave. But the earliest versions of the demo, there were two people who managed to escape the lodge. Like they got out.
And there's like
And
a
they were
half drawn like squares like
yeah,
outside of there.
yeah, there was stuff. There's some I had done quite a few of the backgrounds, but some of the stuff like oh if they tried to go a certain way, like the game would just crash because there was nothing there.
Oh yeah.
Um so that
Find
was
trying to
pretty
look for a
funny to
room that
me.
didn't exist.
Yeah, it's almost like a weird metagame that they actually like could get out of the lodge, which they weren't supposed to do in chapter one at
Do
all.
you remember how they did it?
It was just a matter of like a flag. Like I was pretty sloppy programming, and so it was a matter of like if at a certain very specific time or something in the game, like
You
you
just
could
forgot
just
to
leave.
block.
Yeah, I just forgot to block something. But now what I do is, so the demo, every new version of the demo gets bigger and bigger because it does have a lot more code in it. But I do make sure to delete all the rooms that are outside, so you like actually can't even leave. So if you do leave, the game will crash if you somehow find a way. Although it's hopefully been like
That is a
patched
good
up
thing to do,
since.
and it limits the game size too, or the demo size,
Yeah, exactly. But
which isn't
every
a big
time.
deal in today's world. But you
Well,
know,
which is another beautiful thing about working in like in EGA in like 320 by 200 pixels is that the game is tiny.
yep,
When it's zipped, it's like 63 megabytes or something, and when it's like when you install it to your hard drive, it's probably like 120 or
yeah,
something or
very
150
small.
megabytes. Yeah,
That's
which I
actually
love. I
bigger.
love
I'm
the fact that it's
surprised
like
it's
that.
that big.
I think most of it has to do with like Dan's music.
Oh, I was gonna say audio is what takes up most of that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
like I joke to Dan that in terms of like the megabytes of stuff, like his work probably is just as many as mine in terms of like
Yeah, even
if we
back in
just
the
were to measure it
day,
by that.
if there was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
voice clip in a game, that was like half the game, like right there.
Yeah, exactly. So Dan has composed a ton of music for me in for the game, but right now I think there might only be like 3 tracks that are in the demo,
In
so
the
that
demo,
does tend
yeah.
to keep it small. Yeah, which is good.
And you're not planning on doing anything more with the demo, right? That's what you're leaving up until it's time to release.
I might release there's like a crash where there's an autosave that doesn't work properly. That's like a pretty bad bug, but
Well,
everything
not
else
bug
seems.
fixes, but like you're not
Oh,
extending
I
the demo
see.
or anything like that, right?
No, no,
Good.
I haven't extended the demo since I originally released it. Although I did mention that, yeah, like if there's an inventory item in a drawer, like I might put that in the drawer in chapter one because there's no reason for it not to be there. So that stuff might get added on, but it's not like I'm adding any more story. It's just only going to be chapter one
Yep.
for the demo. Yeah.
Well, that works perfectly too because it leaves them with enough to understand what's going on and enough to want to desire later.
Yeah, I think usually when people stream the demo, it takes them about like an hour, hour and a half, which is like a perfect amount of time, I think, for people to just get an idea if they want
Yeah, especially if
if
you immerse yourself in it and like look at everything and interact with everything, which you're supposed to in games like that.
yeah, it's like part of it's just yeah, it kind of you get to see a good, the whole lodge you get to see, and then and knowing that in chapter 2 you get to like explore outside of the lodge, and so that's something hopefully if people are interested enough, they'll want to like get to explore more of the actual game when it comes to it.
And do you ever get to take the pen
In the
or both the
study,
pens
both the pens.
for the
Yeah, you
set?
couldn't just take one of the pens. Um, I I don't think there's anything in the game where you need to take the pen, but
No, I
if
just I just
like
remember seeing that and I was like,
yes, yes.
take pen. It's
But
like you can't. You don't want to strip it from its set. It's like take pens.
yeah,
No, or I forget what it said about
yeah,
that one. I'm not
I
taking all
can't.
these.
And that's the fun part. That's the one of the fun things about the text parser is being able to have those little interactions and anticipating what people will try.
It must be
Um,
fun to come up with weird ones too. You're like, only like two people will ever see this like dialogue, but it'll
yes.
be worth it if somebody does.
Oh, I love doing stuff like that. And that's something where, yeah, I would love to add more of that once the game is done. Just adding more stuff, like fun little surprises for people to find.
Those are
Um,
fun.
there was a question about a release quality demo likely to come before the final release, and you can't leave those placeholder graphics in. Yeah, I probably will do that. Like once I upgrade all the graphics in the
For like
introductory
the intro, you
sequences.
mean?
Yeah, I probably will release a new version of the demo, but yeah, like nothing added story-wise, just like incremental improvements.
That's a good, yeah. And if there is any little bug fixes, I suppose, or items to put in there, that's a
Hmm.
good thing to do. Because you don't want
Yeah.
people to play the demo. There's no item there, so they just skip it.
Well, the thing is when the full game is released, like everyone's gonna basically have to replay the whole thing. Like,
Yeah, but I'm saying like, what if there was like a spoon on the table
yeah,
in the final game, but the early demo there wasn't, so they don't pick
yeah,
it up, and then they kind of get lost later. They're like, what? I don't get it. It's go get that spoon off the table. I don't know. Can't come up
yeah,
with a
like
good example.
yeah. Part of the game design thing is yeah, trying to make sure that yeah, if they don't do something at a certain point of the game, they
Won't go
won't
further.
yeah, they won't miss an opportunity to pick it up
Good.
again.
One of the hardest things is predicting exactly how everyone's going to play because
And
it's
that
like
is
impossible.
fascinating. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I love watching people stream. Like, if anyone is like whoever wants to stream the Crimson Diamond demo, please let me know. I always try my best to show up and chat and just because it's like free playtesting. Like, how
Yeah,
am I gonna like turn that down? I love to see how people play, where people get stuck. It really it's so helpful for me
every
to see
single
those
person I've
things.
seen play one of my games plays it differently, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't think of this or that or the other or
Yeah, and that's an aspect that, as someone who's doing, a solo game or whatever, that's the one thing you can't do by yourself,
nope.
no matter what. Like you could do music too, but you can't experience it through fresh eyes.
Yeah, I have like 5 people testing the third one
Yeah.
for me, so
Yeah.
I got a lot of feedback so far from that stuff.
Yeah, that's super important. And honestly, for me, having the demo released on Steam and having like people play it and getting all this feedback about bugs in it, like that's also been great because it's also kind of like playtesting as
I
well.
tell people like even if you don't like the way I worded something or if you don't like the way
Hmm.
a fork looks or just tell me. Like I have
Yeah.
no problem skimming through every problem I can possibly fix and just do it.
Yeah, and that's a good, really good, helpful and healthy way to receive feedback. Because yeah, it's gonna just make the game better. And
Yeah.
that's how I approach all the feedback that I do get.
Like have you ever had anybody be a total douche to you on
No.
stream or yeah, it's weird cuz like I haven't had much of that either.
Well, that's another reason why I like to tell them when I'm there.
No, I just mean in general. Any comments that are like just "oh, I hate you" or something. You're
No, like
why don't
sometimes
you
people
quit or something like that.
no, sometimes there's like an occasional comment like that'll be like within like a bunch of, good things. There'll be like something where yeah, there might be feedback. You're not gonna agree with every type of
No,
feedback,
yeah,
but
no, that's fine. As long as nobody's been mean.
no, people are really I've
And
been
it's
so
funny because
like
it's the
happy.
internet. You'd think it'd be like 30% jerks.
Well, I think that might happen like when you kind of get to a bigger audience that
Yeah.
has a better chance of, well, worse chance of happening, I should say. But yeah, like as a fairly small in terms of like my Twitch and Twitter and all these things, I've been really lucky and also yeah, like super like the community that has come up around this stuff and is super supportive and it's just never really been a problem. Like knock on wood, if there's any wood here.
There's no wood.
Oh wait, I've got wood right here. Okay,
There you go.
there we go. There we go.
Your bucket needs to shine in the new demo, they said.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the piece I've been working on most recently on the art streams. Is this EGA metal bucket that will be on screen for probably 3 seconds
Yeah,
and
don't you
four
love
frames of
putting like
animation.
tons of effort into something that people see for a few seconds?
I do actually love doing that, and
It
and
is
I've
fun.
done I've added stuff into the game where, and this happened more when I was just tinkering with the game rather than when I was like more focused about it. But I love that tinkering phase because I did add a bunch of stuff that has absolutely no reason for being there. Like if you type sit in most of the rooms, like Nancy will go over to a couch and sit down.
Which is, yeah, I love that attention to detail.
And it's a totally like there's no game reason for that to happen. It's just like I want to sit down, I'm in a game, and usually you can't. So that's something I did want to do.
Do you make sure there's a chair in every room for her to sit in?
Most of the yeah, in most of the rooms there are chairs, and
Well,
if
it's,
there's
yeah, it's
not
like a
chairs,
nice house, so there would be anyway. But
yeah, some places, yeah, absolutely. So I do like to have like just little touches like that. I appreciate when I see them in other games, and I can't resist. And also another thing is I can't see why she wouldn't be able to sit down in
yeah,
the chairs. So that's another reason why that's there. Like you can wash your hands in the sink and stuff like that. Because like why wouldn't you?
yeah, it's not like
You
it's
can
a
flush the
million
toilet.
pounds of work. You just do another animation, right? And just
Well, which is the beauty of like, yeah, that low resolution
yeah.
and 16 color palette. Like it doesn't take me that long to do the animations, and I can pretty much do them kind of just yeah, kind of like eyeball them and do them kind of because yeah, I do that art background really does help in that respect.
Yeah, so Crimson Cruise days are always chill and polite, right?
Yeah, they are. They're real.
Well, I'll make sure I rough them up a little bit. I'm gonna come in there and treat you like garbage. Like, get out! You
I
just ban
can't.
me like the next day.
Oh, yeah, what happened to Disaster Squad? Oh, he was banned.
Yeah, he
Um,
was totally just flipped out for no reason.
No, we've been yeah, it's been really like super positive, and so I hope that continues.
I'm assuming it will. Now, did you originally have like I don't think you did ever, did you? Like a release date in mind?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Oh, you
absolutely.
did?
Like, oh my goodness. Like,
Because I know it says when it's done.
yes, but well, I don't know. You probably know this, but Steam always makes you put a launch date even though
Yeah.
it's hidden. Yeah. So yeah, like the launch date right now is like November or something, but it's not happening.
What do you have a tentative like best case
Uh,
scenario?
oh my goodness. I would like it's definitely not happening. The best case scenario would be like, yeah, November, but it's not happening. So if I had to like give a time that's feasible, that would be best case scenario. I would probably say, yeah, like first quarter of 2023.
Yeah. But like
Yeah, that
what
would
if
work
there was
out.
nothing else in the way and you got to work on it as much as you wanted? You think like November wouldn't be out of the question?
Uh, but it probably, honestly, probably is doable. Like if I really just did nothing
Without
else,
killing
like,
yourself on it, at least. Maybe December or something like that.
yeah, I mean, it's, I'm sure, but I mean, I probably would be all like anxious because I'm like, well, it's not polished like the way I want it to be polished and
Yeah,
everything.
that's
Because the
true. I
thing
didn't
is,
say which year, just November.
no, that's true. It's true. Yeah,
November of
final polish and testing
2024.
takes loads of time. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, because I'm actually really looking forward to that part of it where everything is kind of like done and stuff, but then it's just like, yeah, the adjusting here and there, and just making it be totally cohesive from beginning to end. Um, and that last like 5 to 10% of polish, it might take a couple months or something, and then there's like the playtesting and stuff.
Seeing your game with fresh eyes is tough when you're making it because you're like, I already know I know how I think about it, but
Yeah.
like seeing how other people will not read clues, will not see things, that's rough, isn't it?
Yeah, and it can be frustrating, but also is like super motivating to say, oh, if I just make this adjustment, then this will go so much smoother, or people will know better where they need to go or what they need to
Yeah, if
do.
you like saw like six people testing it and all of them missed something in a room, you're like, okay, I'll just highlight that a little more then, like make it a little noticeable.
Yeah, I noticed that when like, that's another really helpful thing about yeah, not only watching streamers but also like going to events and watching people play it is like I noticed that sometimes people didn't know to walk down the hallway, or they would like not walk all the way down to the end of the
Like
hallway.
the far side of the three-dimensional like hallway.
Yeah, yeah, like or like they wouldn't know to like walk down the hallway towards the viewer,
Okay.
on the rug, which I thought was pretty clear, but apparently it sometimes isn't. So I tried to fix that a little
And
bit and like
you don't want to like put an arrow there either because that's garish.
Well, yeah, there's stuff like that, and like just the way doorways are in certain places and things. It's just noticing that and you're like, ooh, yeah. I mean, I of course I can't think of it that way because I can't see that with those fresh
Yeah.
eyes. But
Yeah, design
seeing when,
signposting can be rough.
yeah, it can be really, really difficult.
What was that? Oh, this is my phone. I was like, what the heck? Just made a noise. Let's see. I'm trying to think if I had any other questions that were based on that. I usually just think of things as I go because I'm totally off the cuff. Is there any questions you have while I
I have any
think?
question. Well, what do you program in?
Game Maker
Okay, okay, so
8.0, which is like an 11-year-old, 12-year-old program.
okay, so how come you don't use an updated version?
I don't know. I know how to use it. I've used Game Maker Studio too, but
Mm-hmm.
like for some reason when I'm making the one I'm making, I want to make it in the same engine that I started with the first one. And it
Interesting.
kind of like Last Half of Darkness, like if suddenly the third one looked super advanced, it would just kind of
Mm.
not fit in.
Oh, interesting,
So,
interesting,
so yeah,
interesting.
I still keep the same engine, but my techniques become more advanced as I go on.
Oh. Yeah, I hear good things about Game Maker. I hear that it's the next logical step after Adventure Game Studio because apparently they are kind of similar.
You can do it literally anything. Like it's just your
Yes.
imagination is as far as much as you can do. Is you could there's anything as long as you have the information of how to program it, you can do anything. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
And so, are you completely self-taught in all
Yeah,
aspects?
I don't know. I've never taken a class or anything on any of this stuff. I just kind of did it and slowly learned more.
Using tutorials and stuff?
Um, I just like looked at the help file years ago, and then
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, if I have a very specific, like, I'll look up forums, like, oh, what is the meaning of
Mm-hmm.
this function? What does it actually look for in the code and stuff? That's the kind of stuff I'll look up. But yeah, for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, I use the same very simple program methods for everything. It's just implementation. You just get clever with it, and you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever want to make a different genre of game?
I have like 20 games, but
Mm-hmm.
only like 4 were ever finished. So yeah, I've
Okay.
done every single genre you could think of.
Ah, very good.
I did
Did
use
you
Adventure Game Studio a long time ago.
did you ever think that you'll revisit some of those and like revamp them?
Yeah, I wanted to do. There's a bunch of them I'd love to finish someday. So yeah, once I'm done with this big project, I'll probably
Mm-hmm.
work on one of those.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
it's
you don't have
fascinating
old
to me.
projects, or I'd ask you what that was because
No, I don't. No,
this is your big start.
this is the old project. This is the new project.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's you
Did you ever
decided to make a giant, fully fledged adventure with your first game.
Yeah, it was a mistake.
Was it though? You're enjoying it.
No, I am having a blast and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the first piece of advice anyone ever gives, and I heard
Yeah.
it a bit too late.
Yeah, but
Um,
I wouldn't say you're gonna prove everyone wrong, but like, you didn't really need to make a tinier game first. It seems like you're doing fine.
I think I have it in hand. I do.
Yeah, that's what
I'm
I'm
pretty
saying. Like, it's
confident.
not necessarily a rule that you got to start tiny, but
Hmm.
just don't kill yourself over it.
No, no, this is very true.
Yes.
Have you ever collaborated on games with other people?
No.
Do you ever
I'm a
want to?
lone wolf. I hate
I see.
working with anybody. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine.
Aha.
I wouldn't mind to be fun, but I'm one of those people. I don't. It's not like control or like selfishness. I just feel like I have to be every part of a project.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if somebody else were the music is one thing, but like if somebody else were doing the story for your game, you'd probably be like, "Well, I want to do the story."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things. I want to be in total control.
It's funny when you mention story because I discovered, the past few years since I've been kind of working more in the games industry about the existence of a job called narrative design, like
Isn't that
narrative
weird?
designer. Yeah, and I'm like, this is like I thought that's the fun part. Like the fun part is making like the story and the
Yeah.
characters and like
I
the
wouldn't
story
I wouldn't
structure.
want to just look up someone else's idea and then just I'll make that.
But some people like they want to make a game and like, okay, well, I need a story to go along with this, and I can totally like that's totally valid of course too. But like I just it's like to me like such a fun part of it. Like I wouldn't
Actually,
want to like
yeah, like I guess if somebody's really good at the programming and the
yeah,
the
absolutely.
drawing, but they just can't come up with like a world or something like that to put it in.
I guess not everyone is like giant control freaks.
Yeah.
Which
But it's fun
that's
to be.
It is, and honestly, I like working on the team stuff too, and also working on my own thing in contrast, because I can have both of those things where I can just be like super specialized and I can do the art, which is what I'm most comfortable with, and then I
Yeah.
can go and really dial in into my own thing and just be in my complete own
Well, let's
world.
put it this way. I haven't collaborated because I nobody knows who I am. So there would be no reason to collaborate with anybody. I just make little personal games that people enjoy and play. It's like nobody sees me on the street. It's like, "Oh, you're that guy who makes those things." So it's like,
Well, no one does that.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
I
I'm
don't.
sure
I
you know
guess I
Lucas.
don't mean
Oh,
like that on the street, but even on the internet. Oh, did you made those? That's so awesome. No, it's just like I just do it, and I don't get paid for it, and I have a job that's what that's for. So I kind of
hmm
separate my hobbies from
hmm
my work.
What part are you most comfortable doing?
What part would you say?
What part the game dev are you most comfortable doing?
All of it really. I
Yeah.
do all the animating, all the drawing, all
Yeah.
the programming, all the everything. I've made full soundtracks, but the game that I made them for was never finished. That's how that's so fun to have. How much do you have any little works that just like aren't? I know it's not maybe for the game because this is your first game, but like, do you have anything
Mhm.
that you started and never finished?
Hmm.
No.
That doesn't mean that I don't. It just means I have a really bad memory.
Oh, hey,
I
that's same thing.
I don't think so. But in terms of the music for your most recent project, I so you're gonna be seeking out a musician.
No, I just used old game songs because
Okay.
they're all in old NES style, so I just use old songs. That's what I've
Oh,
done
I
with the
see.
whole
Okay.
series so far.
hmm
So it's like whatever.
So is it a whole story arc then across all
Yeah,
the
it's
games?
a trilogy. It started out as just one game on its own, and then I was like, I can go further with this, and then it turned bigger. The stakes were upped, and now I ended it. It ended perfectly, but I
hmm
still felt like I could tell more, so I'm making a trilogy.
And do you have any plans for what you're gonna do for your next one?
It's over after this. It
I mean,
can't
just a
go.
new type of series or
Oh.
project or anything.
I have like a magnum opus plan someday, like the my
hmm
biggest like project idea
hmm
for the future, but it's like who knows if I'll ever actually get to it. You mean like what's my idea for like my dream game?
Yeah, like what are your plans for like your next game project?
I don't know if it'll be my next one, but the one I want to make the most, besides the Cursed series, I want to finish
hmm
that. I can't wait to finish it. But
hmm
it's like a a space, an entire like solar system where you travel in your ship. You're like a robot dude, and you land the ship yourself or dock it onto like in a little arcadey like mini game thing. Go on to planets, explore the planets in a Contra or Super Metroid style game, get new abilities, upgrade your character, go back to your ship, upgrade the ship, stuff like that. Just a
hmm
spacefaring thing. I have the whole thing planned out. It's going to be big,
hmm
but that'll be
hmm
someday.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you do a lot of research when you're making your games?
No. I don't know what I would really read. I just have like an image in my head or like the way it looks and I just try
hmm
to put it on code or on paper.
And what were the timelines for each of like the cursed games? Like how long
Timelines?
did each of them take you? Like,
Cursed 1 took 1 week.
whoa.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying the art was not good. It's trash. Curse 2 started the year after 1, but then I put it aside, and then remember I said like PC Gamer
hmm
talked about 1, so I was like, oh, I'll pick that back up. So technically 9 years, but actually only like 1 or 2 years.
Sure.
And then 3 has taken 2 years.
That's awesome.
And I hope
Wow.
to be done by the end of summer. I hope to be done by the end
Oh,
of
wow,
summer.
that's really close.
Yeah, it's really close. Like I've had people test a couple of months ago,
hmm
75% finished build, so I'm trying.
That's amazing.
It's a rough one.
So, and how many hours a week or a day do you work on it?
When I get home from work, I'll usually put like an hour or two
Mhm.
before bed. I tend to get my best work done like from midnight to 4 a.m.
Yeah, another one. That's
Yeah,
me.
I am a late night guy, and Plus, I work nights, so I'll get out of work at 12 or 1, and then I come home.
Ah.
Yeah, so then I'm up late, and then I sleep in, That's just... I have a third shift style life. But yeah, do you feel like you get a lot of good work done at night?
Yeah, I do find it's easier to focus because everyone else is kind of like not around anymore to
Oh, yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, I don't... No one else is here, but yeah, in general.
yeah, I just mean even like on social media and stuff,
Yeah.
like it just really quiets down.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't pay
So
attention to that anyway, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, like it's easier for me to focus, and there's something about the nighttime that I've always just kind of gravitated more for
Yeah, you
work,
feel like
I think.
nobody's paying attention to you at all, and you can just do what
Yes.
you want at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
Not like you
Exactly.
couldn't before, but the feeling is there.
Yeah. No, no, no. That's exactly the sense of it. Because like during the day, like, oh, you have appointments or run errands, you can go jogging or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and just yeah, yeah.
I have a couple of motorcycles. I like to ride the motorcycle at night when it's nice and cool out, and it's just like gets my mind off of it and all that.
Yeah, yeah, it just yeah, I kind of just I feel like then that's a luxury to have like a schedule that really works for you, I think. So
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
enjoy it just as much as I can.
Here's another one of those real quick on Discord.
Oh my gosh, kitty. What's your kitty's name again?
I caught him with his tongue out.
Hmm.
He's such a
What's his
butt.
name?
That's Bixby.
Bixby? Oh man.
I don't know. That name just stuck. I used to call him Bubsy when I first met him.
Hmm.
Bubsy or little dude or like my little bro, and then I just called him Bixby, and that's just what it's stuck ever since. So I call him Bixby.
So you were allergic before, so you weren't really a cat person.
I was though. That's the thing. I love
Okay.
cats. I love dog. I love anything. I love birds.
Hmm.
Like I'm an animal person.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just couldn't have him. I thought, but
Hmm.
I fell in love with him at the shelter or at the he was like at a pet shop, and I'm like
Hmm.
he is so perfect. He was so
Hmm.
nice, and he was so pretty, and I was like I have to get him. So I literally took him home right then, and then
Oh.
got the food ordered, got some medicine. I got like Benadryl and stuff, and good time.
Did you know that the food existed? Because I didn't know. I've had cats for years, and I didn't know that kind of food existed.
I've heard of I looked it up before I took him home. I'm like,
Okay.
wasn't there something that I could
Okay.
do, for that? And yeah, it was there. And what else did I do? I like looked up I forget. Dang it. I had a train of thought there for a second. But yeah, I got oh, that's what it was. Shots. I heard there was shots you can
Okay.
take. I'm like, I don't know if I want to
Okay.
go get a shot right away.
Right.
So I looked the food up, and yeah, the food was a perfect solution.
How old is he?
He's 2.
Oh my
He was
goodness.
6 months old when I got him. He was tiny.
Still a baby.
Yeah, but he was so great. But yeah, I have Bixby. Did you see in the on my chat? I have Bixby emotes.
Yes. Yes, I just noticed that Hypertonic has it.
Yeah,
I'm like, I was trying to look at the picture on the Discord and then this picture on Twitch. I'm like, is that the same cat?
yeah, that's Bixby. There's a few
Oh my
more there
goodness.
of him looking judgingly at you
Oh
and
my
him yelling.
goodness.
He's such a dork. Yeah, he has a better online presence than I do. People like him.
The emojis are so sharp. I'm like, so impressed by Twitch.
I know. They're very nice.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
there
something
we go.
else I need to do. I need to like improve my Twitch for I need to add emojis, more emojis and stuff, and there's just so much to do.
I mean, there's always something that can be improved or done, but it feels like it never ends.
No, it doesn't end.
Are you looking forward to your next stream?
I am, yeah.
Because you skipped a
Well,
week there.
I did skip a week. Dan may or may not be able to come on. We'll have to play that by ear. But I will definitely be streaming in one capacity or another. And I still got to pick a new game to stream. Do you
Do you
have
have
any
any ideas?
suggestions?
Oh,
I
you're
do.
the
Like
same as you just asked for suggestions.
yes,
Um,
yeah. I've written some stuff down. I actually had made some notes that what people suggested. I got to go find that paper that I made the notes on. But I'm looking for another EGA adventure game that I haven't played before.
hmm.
That is not by LucasArts because I just finished the LucasArts.
I don't know. I'd have to think about that one, and then
Yeah.
maybe I'll throw some ideas your way
Yeah,
at some
please.
point if I come up with something. But you've probably played it. Anything that I come up with,
I don't know. I mean, like I have certain gaps that I just never got around to.
yeah.
And also like smaller studios and stuff. Like that's why I played Last Half of Darkness is because I did remember when I was growing up and stuff. It was EGA and I'd never finished it. So I'm like, yeah, I totally want to play
Have
that.
you ever heard of Dare to Dream?
No.
That was another one, but I think the guy The guy went on to make some big stuff. I can't remember. Maybe Gears of
Okay.
War even. But
Oh
yeah, it's
wow.
like Last Half of Darkness, just like a point and click. That's
Uh-huh.
another inspiration that was when I was younger. I used to like that game.
Oh my gosh, that looks so great. And that does look kind of, is that EGA? What is this?
I think it might be VGA. Oh, are you looking it up?
Um, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I can picture it in my head,
It
but I
looks
can't picture the
VGA.
palette.
It looks VGA.
Yeah, but it has that
Well,
like amateur cartoonish
it
like
does. I
style to
love
it.
it. Yes.
And yeah, that's those are my inspirations. Like, hey, we made a
Hmm.
game, and it looks exactly like it should. Doesn't have to be like super artsy, like painterly.
No, not at all. And like actually looking at it, this one looks it looks like this might be EGA though. There's a couple versions I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
played. It was on Windows when I played it. I don't know if there were
yes,
older ones.
it looks like Windows 3.1 or something
Yeah,
or
it was
something
old
like
because
that.
I definitely remember
Yeah.
that. Like Goblins, I used to love the Goblins
Oh yeah,
series.
those are great too.
Willie
Yeah, yeah.
Beamish.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a bunch of old games that I played way back when.
Well, that's great. I'll definitely take a look at this because this is something I've definitely never played before.
It's like a set of.
Yeah.
It was like shareware, and then there was two
Mm.
episodes that were not, were the full version.
Oh my goodness.
I think.
Yeah.
I think last half might have been the same. It had 3 parts, but like the first one might have been free. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the first part might have been shareware, and then like you did, register for part two of the part one of the last half of Darkness or something.
Yeah, something like
Um,
that.
and I never got around to playing that because I'm like,
No.
I get the idea
The
now.
first one's all you need to play, trust me.
Okay.
I
Okay.
played the other two. You don't really need to play them. First one's a
Well,
nice
there's a bunch
balance.
of other ones too, aren't there? Like there's like a
He
five and a six or something.
he really went on to like I think he remade them like 3 times, but they're all completely different. They
Wow.
don't hold the same story or anything. They just have the same
Okay.
name.
Huh.
So that's weird.
No, I love like especially like yeah these smaller projects, right? Like yeah, this
They're
one looks
fun.
like it might have been just one guy and like last half of Darkness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Duo, all those things.
I remember the names. I just can't remember what they went on to do.
Hmm.
Let's see. Is there any? I don't want to keep your time. It's been about what 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I actually looked at your YouTube channel. I know that the Hungry Goria went for a while, and I looked at the other ones that were also on the channel. Like, we have to go to at least that much, I
Oh,
felt
I
like.
don't care. We could talk forever. I just don't want to. I don't want to take up all your time.
Yeah, I think we were pretty good for today. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we at least hit that,
Oh yeah,
around
we
what you
hit
had
that.
gotten with the other
But I
people.
don't know. Is there anything else? Any final things you would like to discuss beforehand?
Ah,
Any final thoughts?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but no, I really like to meet like a fellow like solo indie game dev person
Yeah,
because that's always
that's
such
why
a
I'm
fun
doing this.
thing.
I like
Yeah.
people who are creative and self motivated.
Yeah, I was like like exactly. That's perfect. Exactly as you say. Yeah.
Those are the people who I get. Do you feel a constant need to create?
Well, I think so, and I think also when I was like I had a two month contract working on my friend's game, I was really antsy because I'm like I wanted to get back to my thing. I need to get back to my
Yeah,
thing. Is
working
that
on
also that?
something that's
Yeah.
all you is like it's one of your big drives. I assume,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes,
like this is all
absolutely.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something about that that's just kind of wonderful and personal, like you said. So yeah, I totally thank you so much for like inviting me onto
Of
this and having
course.
this conversation. Because yeah, I mean, this is exactly the type of like creativity that I feel most strongly about.
Yeah, and this isn't anything special. This is literally just some idiot talking to people who are into the same kind of stuff. That's all it is. So
That's what
there's no
all
pressure.
good conversations are, I think.
Yeah, and that there's never a shortage of things to talk about. I've noticed. Like we
Hmm.
could just delve into a different entirely game related thing or programming
Hmm.
related thing. It's not hard to continue blabbing. Let's
It's
see.
true.
Where is that? Okay, so yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I think I'm good. This was really cool to do, and yeah, hopefully see you around
Oh yeah,
the
I'll
Twitch
be there.
later.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
phone always tells me, even if I'm working. Sometimes I'm working and like in the car, so I just like turn it on in the background and say
Nice.
hello while I'm going. But
Cool,
yeah,
cool, cool.
everybody, go ahead and sub and follow and say hello and go look at her Patreon, Julia Minamata. Everybody, I very much appreciate you being here. And
Yeah, thank you so
yeah,
much.
everybody follow her project. It's will be done someday.
Yes, I promise. Like that's definitely a promise.
But yeah, no rush. Make sure it's great, and it will be. And yeah, go
Yeah,
play the demo while you're at it,
same to
everybody.
you. Same to you. Chris 3.
Well, I don't have a. Oh, I do have a demo. Don't play it though. I gotta touch some. That went out like really early, and now I've changed a lot since then. But that's all right.
Okay, so don't play the Cursed 3 demo.
You can, but just wait a couple of months, everybody out there, and play it when it's done. Maybe you'll like it, maybe not. But yeah,
best of luck to you as well on yours.
this has been a great time. So I shall end it in a second here, and goodbye, everybody. Wave,
Bye.
wave, goodbye. There
Bye.
you go. We'll see ya.
Yay.